album concept hour. The album concept hour. It's the album concept hour.
I think it's time. All right, everybody. Welcome again to the album concept hour. But today it's not exactly the album concept hour. I mean, it is the album concept hour, but it's also a reboot of a beloved college radio show from the Madison area called The Witching Hour. And before I tell you who we have here, I mean, you probably already know, but I am your host, Brad LeBaron, and I have my co-host with me as always,
John Aker checking in.
We have a really great. I mean, it's one of the metal albums that comes up in the modern day, and it's a lot of people try to copy it, but there is only one Mastodon, and there is only one Leviathan. And today we have the hosts from the Witching Hour. We have the Heretic, and we might call him Nate sometimes, but he goes by the Heretic. And then we have the Blasphemer, who goes by Reis, we might say sometimes, but. Welcome, guys.
Blasphemer.
Welcome to the album concept hour.
Damn right.
Hello. Yeah.
That one that said, "Yeah."
Hi guys, good to be here.
That's the Blasphemer and
Yeah, I'm DJ Blasphemer.
Yes, and Heretic. Would you like to?
And I'm
say
the
a few words?
Heretic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone has our voices all centered.
And I am the Heretic.
Yes, we have the Heretic and the Heretic.
And two different voices, one guy. It's a
and then
2-for-1 special.
Oh, the shadow dose. They used to do some college radio here back in what years was it that you guys were enlisted for your metal show?
2008 until 2000.
Yeah, I remember. It was like
2000.
a good couple of years.
Probably.
Okay.
No, not that long.
No, it was more like 2013 or 14, I think. That was around the time when maybe we stopped.
Yeah.
And I got on board a little bit after you, so like 2009, because I think that you started at the radio station, and then you were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Nate, come and do some radio." And then
I
I
did
just
6
became
years
regular.
of it.
Oh,
6
man.
or 7.
Nice.
I did like 5 I did like 5 maybe. I
It was
think
a
I gave
lot.
it up. Yeah, and I think I started later, and then I gave up before you did too.
I have this all written down somewhere. I think the actual years are on my resume somewhere because I thought it was interesting. But
No,
Yeah.
that's definitely some resume material. Yeah. But yeah, I used to love like checking out on your show. It was like really late at night, and what I loved about you guys is you were different from the rest of the college radio shows in that you were pretty quick with your in between song parts. You know, you would kind of you would be like, all right, that was this song, and this is another one. And you would talk like a little bit here and there, but I mean, like, I liked that it was kind of minimalist. Whereas a lot of college radio people like to like talk for upwards of 10 minutes about random stuff in their personal life in their music hour. So I loved that you guys were just like, fucking, this is the witching hour, this is metal time, and that is what everyone's going to hear. And
I think at most we had 5 hours, a 5-hour block of metal on that night, and we had 2 hours. The guy after us had 2 hours, and somebody else had 1 hour at one point, which was great.
Man,
when
that's
that was happening.
fantastic. Yeah,
That was some good times.
Yeah. I mean, if people don't know, like Madison has a really good like thrash, metal, and like punk scene. All sorts of variations of that happen in Madison, and certain other cities too. But Madison is definitely one of the stops along the way if you're one of those bands touring around. You know.
Still one of those interesting things. I live in Denver now, and seeing the difference in like weeknight touring bands and stuff, because Madison could pull Friday, Saturday night top billing and sell out pretty big venues, but then like they don't out here. We don't get the weekday stop throughs as well because we're not in the middle of the country right by Chicago. So there's not like, we're playing Saturday in Chicago, but we're going to play at the tiny little crappy venue down the street in Madison on Tuesday.
It is like right smack dab in the middle of a few like bigger spots.
Yeah.
You know, well, in Madison even now, well, I mean, it doesn't matter these days, but I mean, Madison has got like some pretty big venues downtown these days. But not like we can use them. Yeah, there's but you know,
Right.
pre-COVID though, there's thriving music scene. Like always, I mean, almost every day of the week you could find something playing somewhere in some dive bar, you know, where you just walk around downtown, hear people practicing in their basements they're renting or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of music here, and if you're from here, you know that. Yeah, you guys were a lot of fun. We've had Jake the Snake on the radio show or on the podcast before. He was also another radio guy. We've had him on several times. So yeah, we're kind of collecting the Madison radio greats as we go.
We're gonna have to try and find you Eric Sullivan and do some really obscure metal sometime. Maybe.
I am so down. I'm the more obscure the better. Honestly,
I still want to pick that guy's brain or like just download his whole brain because Jesus, he knows things that I've never even heard of.
Was he another like metal band? A metal like host.
Yeah. So he did Little Shop of Horrors, which was after us most of the time. And
so it was The Witching Hour and then Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes,
that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah.
And Little Shop of Horrors was, for a while we were after him, so we were playing until like 1 a.m, which was actually really, really hard to do. But then the other hard side of the switch was when we went to playing earlier.
Yeah.
We had to do all FCC clean stuff because we were on live radio. So. So when we switched to the earlier slots, we could actually get some sleep and, be able to work or go to school in the morning.
Yeah.
Not that we did that very often.
Well, yeah, because you were both in college and stuff.
I was
right.
Yeah, I was dropped out. Yeah, he was mostly in college. I was mostly dropped out.
Mostly in college, mostly dropped out. Yeah, you guys were in various stages of the college life, as a lot of Madisonians are.
I was also in the waiting tables at like 6 a.m. afterward and stuff like that. So there are some weird ones.
Also, I mean, I should probably mention this. We've also all been roommates. I've been roommates with Nate and the Blasphemer and the Heretic, both.
Yeah.
So
it was a blasphemous household.
It was indeed.
It was.
Blasphemous.
Practically heretical.
Heretic, yeah, definitely. Both of those things. We had some good times in the Johnson house and then the Franklin house.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Scott couldn't make it. He's sick with something right now.
Hopefully not COVID.
Hopefully not COVID.
Please, Jesus, no.
Scott's also someone that used to be roommates with both the Heretic and the Blasphemer. But we wish him the best, Scott. Scott, if you can hear us out there, we wish you the best.
Yeah, I don't want him to be. I don't want him to have it either.
Yeah. Let's not.
I don't want anybody to have
Scott,
it.
Yeah.
It's just Scott. I think the thing that I liked the most about the radio show was getting absolutely blasted before doing it, and how I'm on a podcast where I can say that.
Yeah. I can relate, but I start when I start doing it. So yeah. By the end, maybe I'm a little questionable.
Yeah,
I like to think that when we started, we were probably like, we were really careful about our board running and stuff. So we were like a small percent better than most people. In that decline, we were still like, we could still produce pretty well, but it was like we were shit-faced most of the time. Like it would be we got a bottle full of screwdriver here and we're hammered.
Well, you guys also did the preparation, though. You guys put a lot of time into getting playlists together and really thinking about the music that you were going to play that night.
Yeah, and I don't really want to mention specific site names because I don't want to incriminate myself. But I was a lot more into piratical goings on for getting
Yeah.
music at the time, and I would like get like whole discographies of bands that I never fucking heard of
Some
before,
kind
and then
of
we would like,
ninja
let's pierce,
bay of some kind.
yeah, let's pierce the veil of this bullshit and see what this is all about, and then you could mine that for content for hours and hours of content.
It
Really,
was always great because the certain site had like a web thing where they would link all bands to all other bands by musical similarities and downloads. So
So
you
like
would be able
almost
to
like a
see,
proto
like,
Spotify type of deal.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was very interesting because you'd be like, oh, we're gonna find this one, specifically gothic metal band, and then 16 other bands all linked to it by common downloads, and then suddenly you've got tons of music. And
Actually,
Yeah.
while we're
you're great at doing that. You were
Yeah,
great at
yeah.
just digging down those threads.
I was gonna say, while we're talking about that, can you guys kind of explain what Mastodon represents within like the metal community as far as like their kind of impact on the music of the scene at the time? This album's 2004, the previous album Remission's 2002, but they were, I think, really, really impactful in that time period, right?
Yeah, definitely. Nate, you want to take this? You're the one who turned me on to them way back when, so I feel like you're
I mean,
qualified.
yeah,
Get
I
the
heard
weed
about
coughs out, and then
I heard about them through. I heard about these guys through my friend Billy
Okay.
Erdman, a mutual friend of ours.
Erdman. Okay. Yeah, I remember the
Yeah.
Erdmans. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was showing me this and Neurosis around the same time, and how there was like these
fancy
growly
that.
vocals and kind of like southern-ish, like kind of like riffs that verge on like Pantera, like, but also they're like down-tuned more and like
Okay.
less domestic abuse feel to it, like broken Jack Daniels bottles in a trailer park, like feel to it.
maybe heroin and no methamphetamine. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Right.
the-
Just the fun drugs or the chill drugs. Not heroin. Heroin's not fun. I'm not saying backing up. But no, methamphetamine, that's a whole different ballgame though. But yeah, it's like southern, very like southern kind of metal. I think it influenced some of the Christian rock bands that I listened to growing up, like Under Oath. I think that they maybe listened to this album and were like, oh shit, we need to drop some of the emo stuff and like add some of the metal stuff. And the following album was like way more metal oriented, which it came out in like 2 years after this. But
yeah,
I think it influenced a lot of you were saying what, new metal? I'm still not too familiar with that term, but
well, so we were just saying earlier that before this recording started that this period, a lot of the really popular stuff out there was like this bullshit fucking like new metal, just garbage, like stuff that was
so that was
kind
what
of
was
just
on the
ugly
radio.
and unpleasant and like not very talented or good or interesting. And this was a band at the same era, like, and there's always the levels of underground, and somebody was always listening to something cooler than you were probably, but like,
oh yeah, always.
This was something that hit fairly mainstream and influenced a lot of music, but it was very different than anything that got as well known as it did for the time.
Yeah, it was weirdly both like underground and mainstream, because I heard this on college radio when I first heard Mastodon, and I heard it long before I was really into metal music. I just heard it, I'm like, oh, that kind of reminds me of Under Oath. I like that. And I remember I wrote down Mastodon. It was one of the few times, like, it was before you could just pull out your phone or whatever. So I just wrote down Mastodon and like looked it up like years later. But yeah, it was one of my first times. I was like, oh, that's really cool, But yeah, it's a very refreshing, probably really refreshing take on that stuff and what was on the radio.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's like what System of a Down had some stuff, a lot of stuff at the time. Who else was really big then?
System of a Down at the time was coming out with stuff, and another big band at the time I was talking about was Lamb of God.
Oh yeah,
there was also like a lot of people were calling it the new wave of American heavy metal. Like there's all these different bands that kind of it's like, okay, I feel like the categorization of new metal, like I don't like it. I agree with Reese. I think it sucks, but like to each their own, and I don't want to disparage it too much.
I think it's weird
But
that
maybe
it's
I'm-
like NU. I don't
Yeah.
really
No.
I don't really get that.
Maybe, yeah, maybe I'm playing more of the good cop role here on it, but for me, what I'm trying to say is like,
Yeah.
so there's that landmark court case a long time ago where somebody was like defining what they thought pornography was, and they're like, I know it when I see it. I know what obscene pornography is when I see it.
Yeah.
It's
They always joke
like-
about that on Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah, to me, what Mastodon represents to me, like what I feel about it, is that it feels like old Metallica. It feels like old Iron Maiden because the lyrics are not focused on.
I can
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lyrics aren't focused like Limp Bizkit is like focused on poning
Dicks and
poning
Yeah,
whoever Fred Durst hated
getting,
that day.
Getting the nanny from
Yeah.
the lady or something.
yeah. And this also, it reminds me of like some stuff that I've like when I first heard this, I had not dug in as deep on metal
Mhm.
nearly as much as I have in the many, many, many years since. But like,
Well, yeah, I've heard some pretty fucking nuts stuff from both of you guys. So
yeah, but it reminds me of like some older bands like Bathory that were like these what I want to say, epic like black metal bands that were doing, the start of Viking metal where they're telling a big story. And that goes back farther to even like
wait, so Viking metal is a genre?
Viking metal
That's
is a
awesome.
genre, although
Is
it's
this-
questionable if it's a genre because some people would say that it's either thrash metal or death metal or this and that and the other thing or melodic death.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
but-
Well,
But
because
that Viking is a theme. It depends on who you ask.
in the age of MySpace, there became millions of genres all of a sudden. So I mean,
Yeah.
after like 2000 and whatever, like it's just
I remember that.
everyone can just make up their own thing for
Just tagging,
genres.
yeah.
Yeah. You have 3 tags. It can be whatever you want.
But I guess the epic storytelling side of it, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it goes back to like,
Well, I was
Led
gonna say they
Zeppelin
have
and stuff
one
like that as
song
well.
that's
Like,
definitely what I would say Viking metal. There's definitely one Viking metal song, if that is a genre. There's a whole ass fucking song about that in this album.
yeah. And I wouldn't say this is that whatsoever, but just that, like that idea of
What
let's tell
is
a
a
big,
Viking
huge, cool
metal?
story,
Yeah. Well, the theme of that song in particular is it's just Norse mythology start to finish.
Right.
Can I ask who is Viking metal in your opinion? Because I got a friend that would be very interested in this Viking.
Is there a popular group that would consider themselves- Amanamarth.
Also
That's pretty-
was really
They are
a
like
good
the
album this year.
signature.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
gonna
Bathory's last half of
Alright.
their middle third of their ove would be Viking metal for sure.
Alright,
Everything from Hammerheart up to Octagon for Bathory
Yeah.
is all Viking metal, and they define Viking metal. They were just this insane band. We should talk about them another time though. So
Great.
Yes. No, I'm glad. I'm really glad that we have you guys on here because you have such a wealth of knowledge of metal in particular. You know what I mean? Like you guys just know more metal than any other friends that I have. I think.
one thing I think it's. I was gonna say one thing I think it's nice. Sorry, Reese.
it's okay.
That we never. You're right though, Brad. That we never really did talk. On our podcast, or I mean, on our radio show.
No, I know.
On our radio show, it wasn't a podcast.
Yeah.
There's a
That's
difference
because we were
people.
too drunk.
It's
Yeah, we
similar.
were too drunk to talk.
Yeah.
Also, probably afraid. I was a little bit afraid, probably, of like, oh my god, the two
People are
listening
hearing
are
my
probably-
voice right
Yeah.
now. Well, I gotta say, I mean, I do like I don't know if I could do live version of this, so I definitely get that apprehension. It's better when I can record it and edit it and.
There was also a bit
Edit
of,
out the,
oh man, I don't want to say the wrong thing about this song because if somebody knows more about it than me, I'm going to feel like a complete asshole. And I mean, that's still true
yeah.
about everything, but
I don't
I just don't
concern
care anymore.
myself with
Yeah.
that.
Can I just
They
wanted
can correct us if they
would-
want,
Mhm.
but usually I try to correct myself first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a certain level of elitism in metal that also I think it needs to be addressed at all times now going forward. I think, especially with like the Me Too era, and I know some people are saying cancel culture and shit like that, but it's like I'm not necessarily talking about cancel culture in metal. It's more like
Well,
let's stop excluding people
Well, like
and
Burzum.
I mean, I hate new metal still, I will say that, but like
Yeah.
But it's still in the continuum of metal. Like I have to accept that at some
Well,
point.
yeah,
And
I mean, I think
not-
that Scott's a fan of some new metal. Like,
right,
he's
and that's one of
definitely-
the things I was gonna say is like I'll die on that hill with Scott. I mean, even though
No, I
half
know.
the music
Yeah,
he
yeah,
listens to makes me like not want to listen to it.
yeah.
but,
But half of it's like really fucking.
the other half of it,
it falls in
Dude.
line with the metal that you listen to. Yeah.
you guys convinced me that My Chemical Romance is not a bad band. When I listened to
Dude.
it with you and I sat down, I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
okay." this
Still
is
might
not bad.
disagree.
We
with
covered My
I
Chemical
was about to say,
Romance
I
actually.
think I think Reis is gonna give a hard pass to that one, but
He can
Um,
disagree, but I'm just saying, like,
no,
I don't
but
know if I can be convinced of that. I shameful moment. I saw them, and the guy was on stage screaming, "I am Glenn Danzig," and he's definitely not fucking Glenn Danzig. man.
yeah. No, there was.
I can see where
there
that
was
would
a time,
scar you.
There was a time when Gerard Way was on top of the music world, man. So I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, they're a bit theatrical. But
I don't mind. I mean, I like black metal. I don't mind theatrical. Let's be honest. You want to
But
wear
it
makeup and
wasn't. It
shit? I
wasn't
don't care,
black.
but
It wasn't black metal though. It was definitely not black
Yeah.
metal.
I know
You can-
that.
There
you
was
can
black
edit out the
makeup.
fact that I said that. in
No,
post,
it's
right? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I'm
It's
just kidding.
interesting you brought up elitism.
We'll
though,
take
'cause I was
out all
thinking
of the
about
My
that.
Chemical Romance stuff. Yeah.
No, keep it
Listen,
in here.
listen to our album on My Chemical
Let it
Romance.
be known.
and then come back and tell us that it's a bad band.
We'll have Reis come back and do the other My Chemical Romance album with us. All right. Well, we should get into the first track for this, guys. What do you think? We have Leviathan is what we're covering, and if you don't already know, this album is about Moby Dick. It's got a giant whale on the cover and a giant ship on its back. So
wheels.
and all sorts of big giant creatures in all over this motherfucker. So
Twang.
and so there's twang. There's some twang here and there. Oh yeah, I love that part. All right, but this first track is called Blood and Thunder. Yeah. So this one is like that. This first track is a very good intro to the whole like Moby Dick being a part of it. You know, did a great job of laying it out because like not every song on this album is about Moby Dick. There's a few tracks that are.
And I think that English teachers should just skip the book and make people listen to this album because it probably
Yeah.
tells the story in a much easier to understand version for what it gives you. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
not
I never even
quite
finished
I
the book.
agree.
It was boring.
I agree. I think that they should listen to this and maybe just read the chapters that are from this album. You know, just work backwards and just pick select passages. There's a lot of stuff about about whaling in that this book. Who is that? Was that Rocky? Or what's your other dog's name?
I was Finn and Evie barking at the neighbor coming home.
Okay.
Sorry about that,
All
guys.
right. No, that's fine. I was gonna say I don't think that's Evie.
My dog's name is Evie Metal. By
Evie.
the way, so
Oh yes, that's right. Oh yeah. Forgot.
Singer.
Little cameo from Evie Metal.
That's awesome.
and then there's Finn the dog, but he's the less barky one usually.
Oh really? I wouldn't. Well, yeah. Evie's gets kind of paranoid sometimes.
She has some attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, she'd maybe be on Ahab's side of this quest. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wronged and wanting retribution. But I mean, it really does. I mean, it covers the story pretty good for Moby Dick. Yeah. Okay? Has anyone here read Moby Dick?
No, I honestly had never even tried to crack it. It's
So Reis, did you read any of it?
No, I tried, and the whole thing where there's a lot of that's basically a whaling manual got me.
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest.
Yeah. So I listened to like the first like quarter of it on tape, like actual tape in like
Wow.
a tape player because I was working at
Was this trying to cheat on an assignment?
This was me working at a machine shop and working with a grinder and stuff. So I just had this old ass tape player that I listened to some books on tape with.
Excellent.
But yeah, I stopped listening too because it got really boring. But I do have like kind of a perspective, I guess, on Moby Dick. I think that it's something that maybe was really exciting at the time because whales and oil from whales was like the oil industry of today. You know what I mean? Like they powered
it's
lamps. They power, it was like, one of the best fuels around at that time. They almost like hunted certain whales to extinction.
Got damn close.
So like, I feel like maybe there's like a lot of, I can only like, I guess this is me just defending it because I don't understand, but I'm thinking that maybe there's like metaphors and shit that are from like that society in the 19th century that like just go over 20th century people's heads, maybe. That or it's just boring. It could just be boring. You know what I mean?
And I was looking this up because I actually didn't know, but so apparently it was kind of, he wrote this toward the end of the whaling era, which was like a big deal. So he felt like he was maybe preserving, I think, like the whole
preserving
culture of that in America,
Oh, that's a cool perspective, actually.
It was in like the high point when it was written, but like
yeah.
maybe he knew he was making a period piece. Maybe he did. I don't know. I didn't do that much research, obviously. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, and
I'm busy.
Yeah, and maybe he didn't expect it to be that big of a deal or know it was going to be. But yeah, no, that's a good perspective. Like, I mean, just it just taking down the information of being that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm assuming to certain people it was interesting, but it's just like it is very, first of all, long and could probably just be 100-page novella or something.
It's the kind of book that a scholar would read 100 times and find 7 different meanings in,
Right.
Oh well,
It's true.
but of course, I mean, I can listen to this album and find just as many meanings. You know what I mean?
Well, the album had music with it, which is way cooler.
Right.
Yeah, way cooler.
It's a much more fun way of doing it.
Yeah, if Herman Melville maybe picked up a fucking guitar, I would have fucking like stayed to the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Ahab is pretty metal though. I mean, I do gotta say, like as character, his arc and all that shit, like just his revenge. His whole deal is just revenge on a whale.
I mean, well, you start that opening song is just like so pounding and brutal, and like you're immediately introduced to everything that Mastodon is about, at least in the early days. Because I mean, they definitely, if you have heard other stuff in their catalog, they definitely have softer stuff, and their more recent stuff has gone mainstream. But like this first song introduces you like a punch in the face. It's like,
yeah. This is, I think this is the song I heard on the college radio station when I heard it the first time, because I was just like, "Whoa, dude, this is cool."
It's interesting because you guys said something about elitism in metal earlier, which is always a topic that comes up, and it's
yeah.
This album is so interesting to me because I know very few people who are listen to any kind of metal who would be like, "Fuck that album." Everybody at least respects it, and most people like it, even though it is something that got like radio play, that got into that category of like, man, we're gonna get awards for this kind of shit that aren't just from obscure metal magazines or something. Like,
which wasn't even.
I appreciate it so much for that because it's
and you were saying before the discussion that they, it was clear they didn't think that they were going to get awards either, because like one of them showed up to the Grammys like on acid and like. They were just all like fucked up.
Nathan, didn't you say that the NPR gave him something for this recently?
Oh yeah, NPR gave him one of the most influential somethings.
This song in particular.
Oh, this song in particular.
Yeah, they recorded the vocals with Neil Fallon, and Wikipedia decided to put all that in there because they mentioned on Wikipedia article about this album that the song was awarded one of the most influential songs of the decade by NPR in 2009.
Yes. One of the most metal entertainment information out there.
Yes.
I would love to hear a Mastodon Tiny Desk concert, actually. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Just any
Yeah.
number of metal bands in the Tiny Desk format would be just a fun little joke on the Tiny Desk.
You know those
format.
lyrics might blow the roof off of that building.
Yeah,
It would be
it might-
hilarious.
It's like a library. Shh. You're not
Everyone
supposed
would
to be that
have
loud.
to wear earplugs, or they would all
Tiny
lose
desk
their...
concert, wall of orange amps would be perfect. Like,
Right.
Oh my god, it would just be like all the mugs on that table would just be like slowly vibrating until they shake off.
This is your new Sunday morning music, bitches.
Yes, that's the turn I want NPR to take for real.
Before we go,
Neil
further,
Fallon, though, what were you? Sorry,
No, I was just sorry to.
I think you said something first.
Calls,
well, yeah, it was like 0.5 seconds here between. Yeah, technical stuff. What, Nate?
So, the album's theme is water. That's all I wanted to say. Because apparently, I read earlier too that their first 4 albums are supposed to be elemental. I think Remission is earth or something.
I think
This
I
is
saw a
water.
little bit about that.
Yeah, and then the next one after this is shit. I forget what it's called.
There's one in
it's
between
not shit.
this
That's
and
it's not
It's
an
not shit.
element.
It's shit.
there's Blood Mountain, right?
Yeah, Blood Mountain I think was fire.
Yeah. And there's one that they came out
Crack the
with 2.
sky is air.
They came out
Yeah.
with 2 in 2006. I don't know what the other one was, but I don't think that was like their main album for the year. I think that was just one that they wanted to release.
I know it's not shit.
Yeah, at any rate,
Yeah,
Blood
yeah.
and Thunder was not shit. It was Blood and Thunder. It was awesome. Not Blood and Thunder, Blood Mountain.
Yes.
Blood. They like blood.
Yes.
They're
There's
metal.
there's a bit of blood here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, I was just trying to set so this is all about water too, and it
Yes.
was so it's
Okay.
not
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's like
It's not all Moby
it's
Dick.
not just Moby
Yeah.
Dick. They're like, so this is like the quintessential Mastodon album for me, because first of all, the band's name is Mastodon, which is already a giant creature, and that's what it makes you. It gives you those kind of like prehistoric giant thoughts or whatever, and then on top of that, this whole album is just full of giant mythical creatures. It's
Damn
called
right.
Leviathan. It's maybe the most on the nose Mastodon album. I don't know as much about the other albums, but there's just giant creatures everywhere.
and
Yeah,
giant
so
sounds.
Yes.
Giant sounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Leviathan itself is a word of extreme measure as well.
Yeah. I think all the
know?
creatures would qualify. Well, most of the creatures would qualify as Leviathans. I wouldn't say all of them. There's like maybe one that's not a sea creature that they bring up, but yeah, I mean,
Also, random shout out here to a recently deceased pet that everybody here knows mostly. That was the little Leviathan, Levi.
yeah, shout out to Levi. Pour one out for
Yeah.
Levi, guys. He was
Going out for the homies.
Yep. Shiny's dog Levi. He was a chipper little dude, and
Just a little Leviathan.
just a tiny little Leviathan, but Leviathan nonetheless. So, but yeah, I was gonna say one thing before we move on to the next track, though. This has Neil Fallon from
Yeah,
Clutch.
sorry about that.
And I'm more recently familiar with Clutch. I've plugged him on this podcast actually a few times, because that song Space Grass and the whole collection is just fantastic.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I had no idea it was Neil Fallon.
Southern
though.
metal.
Very, yeah, more so than this album. Yeah, but yeah, it's so cool because they have two cameos on this album, which I really, really like that they do. I didn't know that before this listen through, but now that I do know that, it makes this album even better to me because they're kind of giving nods to the people that inspired them, maybe. At least in this case, Clutch is like, 96 was like when that big album came out from them.
Yeah, the other cameo is actually we'll talk about it later, maybe a little bit. But Scott Kelly,
Definitely, yeah.
from Neurosis, and
Yeah. That's
Neurosis.
track 8.
Yeah, he ends up being on I think almost all of the subsequent albums since then, and as a guest.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
I thought that was his voice, but I actually did not look it up because I'm horribly lazy.
That's fine, man. We got
That's
it.
all
We
right.
got it.
That's all right. I also remember Billy telling me all these things about this album when it came out too, because he was obsessed with it. So
yeah, he was like,
He
"Oh
had the
man, let me
T-shirt
tell
in
you
high
about."
school, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh man, Erdman.
Lucky bastard.
But yeah, let's do the next track though. It's continuing on the Moby Dick story, and this track is "I Am Ahab." Yeah.
Yeah.
Each track with this just makes me want to go, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is, I think we can safely say from the perspective of Captain Ahab, right?
Right.
This whole like all the lyrics, I think.
Yeah, no, that and whoever the other, I don't remember the characters from the book. I'll be honest. There's Ahab and Queequeg, and that's all I really know. So
Ishmael. Ishmael.
Ishmael. Oh yeah,
Ishmael's
yeah,
the main
that guy.
character. Yep.
I should know that.
I don't think they mention Ishmael in the album directly.
No.
They do mention Queequeg and Ahab, of course. I mean, this is I Am Ahab. So Ahab's like it's pretty much Moby Dick from the perspective of just Ahab.
Yeah, it's all about the obsessed pursuit for sure.
Yeah,
the way the
yeah.
album is written.
Like the best part of the book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is like the part of the book that could be an action movie. But yeah, it's I like how he says there's magic in water that attracts all men across hills and down streams. Like this, one thing with some of this metal is there's some very like primordial kind of themes going on, like very like prehistoric, maybe civilization.
You can
shit.
definitely see like Ahab going through the muck,
early
looking for this bastard fucking whale.
Yeah, and it is a very primal pursuit, in general. Like the story of Moby Dick is a very kind of like man versus nature pursuit. So in this song, they really bring up a lot of it really just kind of sounds like they're talking about prehistoric men, like throughout this song.
Just the urge to follow and like,
and
adventure
conquer
and fight
nature and all of that, bullshit, But, yeah, I really like, it goes into like 13 years to this day, red planet aligned. Don't know what that means exactly.
Probably Mars.
I'm assuming Mars.
Yeah.
13
which would
years.
indicate war as well.
It was apparently 13 years since Moby Dick took Ahab's leg, which is a key part of the story. So, and then into sight 60,000 years of light. So I think the 60,000 years is important because that's actually the kind of what was it? It's like the date of the kind of migration out of Africa. So I think that he's kind of emphasizing that prehistoric thing in this particular song.
Okay. So like it's more than just this modern man's quest to get the oil for, the blubber so you can sell and make a bunch of money. It's also about like the man's hunt against beast. Against Mastodon.
Yes. Conquering all of these giant, larger than humanity creatures, And he says, what was it? Fascination with a mountain put to sea, built to slay and conquer, all with teeth of beasts. So yeah, very much that man versus beast.
And I think there he's kind of doubly talking about the creature he's hunting, but also just the men putting this huge ship out there just to kill things and, their own like ripping teeth that devour.
In kind of, obviously not our natural habitat. We go out in the sea and we just kind of do what we will, but like we're from the land, I mean, I guess
we're from the sea,
far
bro.
Back enough.
Everything came from the sea.
Yeah.
But those polar ice caps, when they melt, man, There's a lot of water trapped in those on those two continents.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, we better get good at swimming.
Yeah.
Global warming's real.
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be pretty.
Well, no, just stay in the Midwest, or Colorado works too. That's pretty high up. I think you'll be okay in Colorado. But yeah,
Those
that's
are
why
your
you
best
guys.
spots.
That's why you guys gotta invest in the Midwest. All right, like the Middle Coast
that
is
rhymes
gonna.
too. That's
yeah,
funny.
cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like the Middle Coast is gonna be fine after global warming kicks us in the balls, and or poon. This next song is called Sea Beast, to get into more of what we were just talking about. So here we go. Okay, see, one thing I really appreciated about this band immediately is that they have like singing parts, which is something that I couldn't get into metal initially because of. Like I couldn't. I was kind of one of those guys that needed at least a little bit of some actual sing-songy vocals here and there. So I couldn't do just the raw, just like screaming start to finish at first. So this was like a perfect, like for me, especially when I was, just dipping my toe in the water. Like this was really, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the more like they toe the line very well between driving, heavy, growly metal and those singy bits. And none of it seems out of place, which is even really amazing metal bands. It's very, very hard to hit that right
filler.
where your singing doesn't seem just like, what are you doing here?
That's the big thing about this album is like I think Nate was saying earlier, like there's not a lot of filler, and it seems almost short for this kind of like it almost seems like there should be more, but like the endings of the songs are like tight, like the like there's not yeah, you're right, there's not a wasted like moment, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say that if a little bit of criticism is allowed.
Yes.
That is the one thing though that's a little bit of the weakness of it, is that it's early in their career and they're not super.
Yeah, this is their second full length, right?
Yeah, this is the second full length album. At this point, they're not quite yet adept at like getting the melodies just right and knowing when a certain idea is kind of getting stale. But it's so fast that it passes really quickly. So like, I think that for the first like 4 tracks, I feel a little bit like it's like, okay, they're approaching, like, I love these tracks, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying like it feels initially like they're kind of like finally like the first 4 tracks they're getting what the sense of like where it's going musically.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, and then they explore a little bit more in the second half, especially with that third. Well, we'll get there, but yeah.
Oh like yeah, there's one track that's really long.
Yeah, this one track here was probably the weak point of the album for me. But it picks up again, I think, in the next 2, and then I feel like it can get wearying a little bit, but I like how it's a short album, and
I do appreciate that about it. I think in general. Was that Reis?
I think my one criticism of the album overall would be that like, and I tend to list a lot of really hard, heavy, fast metal, is that they put all the slow stuff in the second half. They didn't have, and you could see that's like maybe early album writing, because it's still very good. Like this, it's an album you listen to the whole thing and you're happy at the end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But the movement is not what they probably would have done later in their career, where they were like writing an album to be an album. But that's also maybe 2004 writing. You wanted the songs that were going to get people in up front. You don't want to put those as an album, because I think album listening has gotten bigger again as like full albums. So
right.
Yeah, that's true. I think that usually what I would think back then was like, tracks 1 through maybe 5 are like all of the singles. And then, pretty rarely there was something in the latter half of the album that was single. And I mean, I don't mean single by like, top 40 senses. I mean, single is in like, the emo bands that were, or whatever bands that were doing well at the time, like we're getting college radio play or, MySpace
Right.
plays or whatever. You know what I mean? Because I would say like some of these like thrived on like the MySpace or like pure volume stuff. That's where I think most people heard it for the first time, and then, or maybe I guess Fuse too. Fuse was also pumping out some badass.
Was that in 2004 already? I actually don't. I have no
think-
idea.
I think Fuse was maybe just starting, maybe around then.
Because I know
Definitely later, but
there's definitely MySpace era was like a big music motivator for sure. I was gonna say.
yeah.
I think there was also a growing interest again around that time in record stores, and that's kind of
Yeah.
so.
that's where it like started. I think.
Back to
resurface.
Erdman was like, I think he had money from
Back
an
to
allowance or
Erdman.
something. I think his parents gave him an allowance, and he'd be like, "I'm gonna go to an exclusive company and buy cool."
Oh, the
record-"
exclusive company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Say
like,
it with me.
say it with me, the exclusive company.
Yeah,
Oh my
that was
God.
a great shop in Janesville.
I think
and
it was
in
interesting.
Madison,
I was thinking
too,
about
for a
this.
while.
Nowadays, if you like a band, you can so easily find 50 other similars online. And even it's not that there was no internet in 2004, of course, but like back then, even up until, I would say up until like Facebook really hit, like that social media style platforming and music sharing really didn't hit. So it was harder to chase down more similar things unless somebody told you what to
That's
look
true.
for.
That's
Because you
true.
could go on LimeWire and steal something, but you needed to know what to search for because searching was stupid. Like Google had not taken over the search world yet, even.
Well,
So-
I mean, this is gonna date me.
There was no organization to it.
Yeah. This
Exactly.
This is gonna make me sound old, but AP Magazine was like what I used a lot of times to discover new stuff.
Find the shortcuts.
Because like I was into that.
I don't
kind
know
of,
what that is. Is that Associated Press magazine? Is that what is AP?
No. Alternative press.
Alternative
Reese.
press. Oh.
Yes. Alternative press.
So fancy.
I used to
that
read
was
Kerrang and
like
stuff like that.
well,
actually,
alternative
but-
press was like the home for like emo / like metal, like on the brink. That was I think when they thrived the most. My Chemical Romance age,
Sure.
So I was way into they had a lot of the Felix Culpa was on in there a few times. They
Just rep those
mislabeled
old album sales.
they
Brad.
mislabeled one of the members' names in their little short thing.
Shout out to
In a way-
Felix Copa. We want you on
Yes.
the Smashing
We want
Pumpkins
you on
episode.
the podcast.
In a way, aren't we kind of discussing our early musical?
We kind of are. Yeah.
In a way that we're kind of answering that question right now. I think I would
Well,
say that
did
for
you
me,
ask them yet?
when I was 13.
Oh, that's right. We
let's do
barreled
this
right
now.
past that.
Let's
Good call,
do it
Nate.
then.
Yeah, let's do
So,
it right now.
It's
yeah.
the beginning of the podcast. What do
Bring
you guys think? We'll start with you, the Heretic. What was one of the first bands that you listened to that got you into music?
The first band
Or
that
first
got me
couple
into
or
music
whatever.
and buying my own and all of that was probably AC/DC Live. Now, I'm gonna say before that I did download a lot of songs on LimeWire and Napster. Who Let
that's
the
fair.
Dogs Out, which now I know is a terribly misogynist song.
You're gonna get
Ah.
sued. Don't say that stuff.
I did not know that at all. When
I
me and
have
my
no
dad
idea
used
what
to
that
sing
song's
it.
about.
Ah.
I've never read the lyrics.
It's Who Let the Dogs Out is dogs is who let the ugly bitches into the club.
Oh,
that's literally what it means.
Jesus.
Yeah,
That's awful.
and there's one of our non-PC.
I thought it was.
No,
I thought it was just a good spirited song
Nope,
about hanging
every
with
kid,
the boys.
Every kid was jumping around going, "Who let the dogs out?"
Who?
And in reality,
So
it's
bad.
it's dudes at the club going, "Who let the ugly bitches in, man?"
Oh man, I had no
Well,
idea. They should really
yeah.
put that part in the song in the background so
Well,
that
they
we know.
don't. They don't.
So yeah, the Baha Men was my first. No, so ACDC.
It was on the
Li-
Trek. It was on the Shrek soundtrack. How are we supposed to know?
Let the man finish.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. So the thing about ACDC Live was like, I was obsessed with like hard rock when I was getting to be a teenager. So I was like, this is edgy. And they sing about booze and chicks, and they're like,
Yeah.
They had put up a big blow up sex doll on the stage of their
Mhm,
concert,
mhm,
and
mhm.
that was all in the liner
Yep,
notes
yep,
and
yep.
everything. And I'm allowed to look at this as a 13-year-old.
You're like,
And then-
yeah.
Yeah, and then it kind of became like Megadeth, and then it went and spiraled out of control from there for metal. And I'll leave it
Just
at that.
out of
I'll leave it at
control. Okay.
that. Yeah.
What about you, the Blasphemer? What was your kind of what was one of the first things you called your own?
Oh, okay. So embarrassing one, like the first album I ever had, but not really one that got me into anything further, was Blink-182, Enema of the State.
That's not embarrassing at all. That's much better
It's a
than
little
mine.
embarrassing.
That's much better than
don't
mine.
Even worry about that, my friend. I was in a
Much
pop
better than
punk band
mine.
for 6
That
years.
was awesome.
We
That's-
wished
my
we were Blink-182.
my teenage brain put in my memory permanently the image of that nurse on the cover with the like red bra sticking out, snapping her glove on.
That was perfect advertising to
kid porn.
teenagers.
That was kid porn before we had it on the internet.
We didn't have
was a porn star, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think you're right.
I'm sorry. What I meant was that was porn
Linda Miller
directed
or whatever.
at young.
Yeah.
No shit.
That was like the first album they had like a lot of money to like fucking throw at it.
Yeah.
Like that was their first big budget one. But
I mean, and it was
Wow,
it was a
good album,
ripping pop punk album.
It was-
at the
yeah.
time.
I missed
Perfect pop
2000s pop punk so much.
yeah, it was a good time.
It's still there. It's on the internet.
I know. I listen
wait,
to it on the Pandora all the time.
So what bridged you from pop punk to this insane metal music, Reese?
So actually, I think it was like probably 12 or 13, and my uncle bought me the first Black Sabbath album, the self-titled one.
Ooh,
For-
good uncle.
Good
For
album.
Christmas.
Good uncle, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and that was the one. That was the one that I'm like, yeah, no, that was the first thing that like sent me somewhere.
How
where I was
old
like,
were
I
you?
need to look up more of this. I was 12 or 13, I think. I don't know, and
Oh, nice.
I'm digging in like,
Looking out
this is
for you,
cool.
man. Looking out for you.
Yep.
That's
Once
awesome.
in a while in a young teenage boy's life, there's like a leather jacket Grim Reaper kind of figure that's like, hey, check this out. Contraband music.
Was your uncle
It's either-
also a bachelor?
He was technically married. I don't know if his wife was around at the
Technically
time,
married.
but you
Okay,
know,
cool. We'll go with that.
I hate you.
We'll go with
he's an old
technically
hippie guy, but
Shining
you know,
a light
he
on me over
definitely
here.
loved some Ozzy, felt for some Ozzy. You know,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man.
He kind of looks like Ozzy Osbourne a little bit nowadays. Come to think of it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite
He doesn't
parts.
talk
about,
like him, does he?
not yet.
Okay. Just checking. That could be a sign of something.
Hope we don't get there. No, he. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's cool.
Like
and then
Sabbath.
that was
Self-titled, like
kind
everything,
of
the whole
off to
album.
the
I've listened to it
races.
thousands of times.
Yeah. Early Black Sabbath is just, yeah. I think I
so
remember.
raw.
I think one of the first times I really sat down and listened to Black Sabbath was with you and Sam. So I think that was one of the first times I listened to a full album. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. That's what
yeah.
the whole hubbub is about these guys. So, yeah, real aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
But we should talk about this song a little bit though before we move on. So this is more Moby Dick stuff. We haven't gotten to anything else yet, but the Moby Dick, and this
All about the
mentions-
dicks.
all about the Moby Dick, and here we
Dick
have
prick.
Mr.
I'll
Queequeg.
show you a white whale.
Yeah.
Gangly
Mine
parts.
out of the gutter.
Shut your
But
blowhole.
Mr. Queequeg, who is
Ah.
like my favorite name of all the characters in this story. It's part of the reason I think I listened to like a whole quarter of the book. But yeah, Mr. Queequeg is he's like the right hand man of like Ahab, I think. Yeah, mostly he's just got a cool name. But I don't know why they bring up Mr. Queequeg necessarily.
I looked this up. Okay, I didn't know this.
Do it.
Queequeg he was the like South Pacific, apparently, obviously, like he's portrayed as like the non-white South Pacific. He was covered in tattoos, and
Yeah, we should probably mention there's a whole lot of not PC racial
Yeah.
What's the word?
In the book, yeah.
In the book, there's they call
Real
some people
racist, real
savages.
racist.
It's no good.
If you were an intellectual writer or of novels or nonfiction in the 20th century, I'm sorry, the 19th century, you were writing about savages and they're wearing their cloths and they're barely clothed and they have disease and
Well, yeah, right up to like your H.P. Lovecraft era, you have that kind of stuff. So yeah,
zombies and
real.
Yeah. Oh, and Lovecraft was real racist. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of fun racist terms throughout European literature of the 19th and 20th century.
Degenerate. Yeah. He's degenerate a lot. That was
yeah.
his favorites.
But yeah, Queequeg I think one of those characters. I think. But yeah, I mean, there's not too much more to say about this. I think this is like probably the time in the story when people are around the ship, like sharing, like thoughts on the creatures of the deep. But yeah, this next song though, I believe, is this the? Oh yeah, this is the one that is potentially Viking metal. I think, because it's all about Norse mythology. Is Norse mythology Viking? Is that the same thing?
Yes, that is Viking mythology.
Yeah, I mean, because
more
so
or less.
Viking was more of a profession, I suppose, in that time than it would be like a culture thing.
Right, it was literally an action. It was to go Viking was a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So it was like a form of raiding. But yeah, I mean, Norse mythology is part of Norse as a culture, I'd say.
So like Vikings were just like punk rock or something. Like,
you want to boil it down to
they
something
just chose
simple?
to like be like anti-establishment of the time.
Maybe more
something.
Maybe,
I mean,
I don't know.
I think,
much different, but different.
I think raping,
different
pillaging,
form.
and destroying was pretty establishment at that point and any point, honestly. So
they were the head.
Unfortunately,
but they were doing it to the establishment, right? I don't know. They were just doing it to whoever was close to the shores, I think. But this song is called Island, and it is about Iceland.
That's a great song. Fuck.
Yeah.
Also, Iceland is beautiful. I went there a couple of years ago. Icelandic Tourism Board.
Iceland is the one that's green, right?
Yes.
Greenland
is the one that's
ice. Wasn't that mislabeled because of some stupid? I don't know.
I don't know.
Supposedly it was a purposeful mapping error, but that might be apocryphal. I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, that sounds like it's like there's like a myth. I think that it's they named it Greenland, Iceland, and Iceland, Greenland, so they could throw off people that were seeking to colonize or some shit.
Even though they settled both places.
Yeah,
because they got to
probably
Iceland.
apocryphal.
It sounds like it's just a fun story to tell ourselves more than anything.
Yeah, well, like, because I get it, because you would have gotten to Greenland and been like, this place sucks. Well, let's go check out the other one. Oh, this place is great.
Or, hopefully, I mean, if you want your enemies to die, then they would just die in the ice in Greenland.
That's what you're always hoping for. That was Russia's #1 tactic.
I still always hope that my enemies are going to die. Let's be honest.
You
sadly,
we'll have to edit that piece
You're the
out.
Ahab of our group, then. Yeah.
Sadly, Greenland is becoming puddle land. Anyway,
that's true.
Right. It'll be Greenland. It'll be Greenland soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one it goes in. It talks about Odin, Thor, founder of the All Thing, which is praise our pagan father, founder of the All Thing, which is
so he's the All Father in mythology.
And the All Thing is Iceland's parliament, which is the oldest existing parliament in the world.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So one of the first proto, I guess, what was it? Proto democratic type of deal, but not quite democratic.
Maybe they're
Pretty-
talking.
Pretty democratic, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like they don't call themselves democratic, but I mean, they're trying to work together and not have necessarily a king.
I think it was mostly like, yeah, you do what everybody says. Or Sven and Snorri are going to throw you into the waterfall, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. Beware the hammer of Thor too. Watch out for that stuff. And the Grungir. You gotta watch out for that spear from that one god. Or wait, no, that one's from Odin too. It was the name of it.
It's also kind of a return to the Moby Dick theme of it. Like,
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Spears, everything else.
Yeah, that's what
Spear
ties
the
this
bitch.
to the other songs. Because otherwise, this song is like one of the first songs I think that doesn't really follow the Moby Dick story at all. I don't think that's part of the Moby Dick story, Norse stuff. Obviously, none of us have read it all the way through, but I feel like
Which is kind of shameful for poor people that none of us have read
For-
Moby Dick.
it's
Yeah,
just
no, it
so
really
long,
is.
and everyone knows the ending. Like, it's just. Yeah, our Family Guy spoiled the ending for me. That's part of the reason I didn't finish it. Fucking
It's kind of
Seth MacFarlane, you asshole.
It kind of feels
Family
like
Guy
a
was kind of an
rapey
asshole.
book.
A what?
Like it feels like kind of like a rape. It has like rapey undertones to it of like conquest,
it's taking
like sexual
advantage of you.
conquest.
You mean like raping the earth or the sea? I guess in this case.
Well, I mean we could go. I could dive into this stupid philosophical idea that this science teacher.
Well, because I mean, this is we were saying Moby Dick is the
Right on,
end
bud.
of the period where whaling was the big thing. So I mean, this is the period where whales are dying out in large numbers, and this is a period when they're finally starting to experience, I think, scarcity with that industry. But it's not yet quite when we're in the oil industry as we are in today, or the oil age even, because there's no cars still.
That was the end of that.
There's still like
Oil
steam
was the
stuff,
end
I
of
guess,
that.
but yeah. I mean, I think that some of what you're saying is definitely valid when it comes to this.
Yeah.
And also, there's a cool moment that they reference in Icelandic history. Gullfoss, Jaime in '73. There was a volcano that went off, and they used the seawater to quell the volcano, volcanic eruptions to not destroy the city nearby. So
Also really fun tidbit about Iceland. They don't get the fun volcanic eruptions like they do in Hawaii, where it's like, oh, cool, burning lava. Mostly, it's mostly
let's
just
go visit it and walk next to it and stuff.
Right. It's mostly just toxic gas that kills everything. Apparently, there's one year where a volcano erupted there, and they said 90% of the livestock on the island died immediately.
God.
Wow.
That's
they were
fucking-
fucked.
That
Dang,
sucks.
that's a different kind
Yeah.
of eruption.
Living on an island.
Dang, man.
Wow.
It's dog eat dog world.
It's a dog eat dog world out there.
It's
Evie and them said it best.
a doggy dog world.
Yeah. A Snoop Doggy Dog world. But yeah, speaking of Odin's spear Grungir, the next song is Iron Tusk. Yeah.
I heard a lot of burn. I heard a lot of rah.
Oh yeah, I was asking
Music is
John.
great, though.
I was about to say I was asking John while we were doing the listen through. I'm like, hey John, do you understand any of the words that they're saying? And he's like,
No,
not
really.
at all.
Not really. No.
Yeah,
Music's
because
great,
this is your probably blind spot.
Yeah,
is
this
metal
is my
music.
blind spot.
Yeah,
This,
yeah.
This and like really hard rap.
Yeah.
Those are my
we're
blind spots.
breaking the surface with the rap though. We're working.
Yeah,
on
no, we're working on it.
that. Yeah. But yeah, it's the instrumentals are just great though, start to finish. And I wanted to definitely use a few clips to highlight some of that stuff. But Iron Tusk is just like a really metal way to say spear, because that's what they're using to, their what are those called? Harpoons, because they have to get those ready to, throw at the different nautical things.
Little tie-in to the first song too, and the last line is about the all with teeth of beasts, talking about the men on the ships like going out to hunt the whales.
Yeah.
The iron tusk, the tooth of the beast kind of thing.
Yeah, more nature imagery with what they're doing. With their kind of violent pursuit. Yeah. And another thing about the story apparently is that a few of the quote-unquote savages in this story tipped the spears with blood as they were getting ready for, fighting whatever. So, there's some blood in there, which is, one of Mastodon's favorite things. But yeah, Genius let me know that. And Genius also did put the quotes in there, just so everyone knows. It's
nice.
quote Savage members. But yeah, they mention Heretic, which is the I think the Latin for sperm whale. And mention elephant graveyard as well, which is interesting because it kind of ties back to that whole like end of an era of whaling, thing. There's probably dead whale carcasses all over the goddamn place back then.
Yeah, the getting down to the nitty gritty of like it's an opportunity to be like, look, kids, 19th century classical literature is metal. Feel it burst, liver and lung.
Right.
Till she spills her black blood.
That's
right.
Shattered.
Right?
Yeah, I mean
that's pretty intense right there.
I wonder how many people have actually read Moby Dick as a result of listening to this album.
It's
that'd be interesting to hear a story.
I'm thinking I probably should at this point because I'm kind of embarrassed I haven't. So
hey,
give it a shot.
Listen to an audiobook on double speed. Like you'll get through it. Do it while you're doing your laundry, your dishes.
Hey man,
something you can't fall
number 2
asleep.
probably coming up. Read fucking Moby Dick.
Yeah, just do something you can't fall asleep during.
I'm also going to read Das Kapital. Anyway,
God,
that's
so
on my
slow.
That's on my list too.
Never got through that either.
I think I downloaded the audiobook though. I think I have the audiobook.
I'm a shitty socialist. I haven't read it either.
No, man. But there's just so much socialist literature. It's hard to keep track, guys.
And it's all boring as shit if you're not really, really, really into it.
Yeah, it's pedantic, right?
Well, it's trying to restructure society.
Yeah, it
has to be pedantic.
Tough. It's a tough task.
Yeah, it is. There's a whole new vocabulary you got to learn. But just like Visitor Catodon, I had no idea that was the name of a sperm whale.
Yeah, no, I had to click on the note for that one. I definitely didn't know. I don't know Latin, people. I looked it up.
Catodon the whale, or is Physeter? I'm assuming Catodon's the whale.
I think Catodon's probably the whale, and Physeter is the sperm.
It sounds kind of like, I don't know, like a ball sack term, kind of like the Physeter, like some tube in there or something.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, let's do one more track though before we take our break. We'll do a track and then we'll talk about it a little bit and then we'll take a break. So
sounds good.
This next track is called Megalodon. So this is Mastodon, Leviathan, Megalodon.
That song is so good.
And I gotta say, that is one of my favorite moments in probably all of metal, is that little southern ass guitar lick in the middle of these like metal fucking like pieces. Like I lost my shit the first time I heard that. I was like, what the fuck? What am I listening to? You know, like it's just not what you expect from like the previous rest of the album. You know, so yeah, really.
That is some southern metal, like right there. That's
Yeah.
where you really get that feel in this album. And
Yeah,
it's something that
yeah.
maybe the earlier part of the album, like it doesn't have as much of that southern
Yeah.
metal drive, but they bring it back real strong there in a way. I don't know.
I think when I was younger, I thought that you were doing it like ironically, but now I believe it's, you know, very serious. It's not like they're poking fun at metal, Southern stuff. They're like, we are Southern. We're from fucking Georgia.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. And the Megalodon is, you know, like I said, it's like there's all these big creatures, and Megalodon is another one of those big mythical creatures. It's like giant fucking shark, you know. So not only are they worried about the, you know, the giant white whale, but the Megalodon, who's like apparently just got a bunch of scars all over him because he's lived so friggin' long, and like just, yeah, you know, just a big ass fucking shark.
It's a great song, and just the way
Yeah.
that song kind of builds and meanders through
Yeah.
it. But it's got such a drive. I guess it doesn't build and meander, but for me, it has that body and that feel to it. Like when it gets little down bits like that kind of bring you back into it.
Yeah,
I love it. Just love it.
Yeah. I almost could have used more of that Southern stuff right there. I honestly, in my
for
memory,
sure.
it's a lot longer. The Southern moment is a lot longer to me, but it's only like 10 seconds tops.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But I think it captures, so like in this, I think it's maybe the birth there of like a tone of guitar that is followed by other bands as well that came around the same era. Like my favorite band is Baroness right now. They haven't always
shit.
been, but
Oh,
yeah.
All Appalachia, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of their stuff is also kind of the same similar tone to that when they do their mathy parts.
Yeah.
And I think that was a cliche for a while, and then both bands have since kind of grown into different things entirely, but they all like that.
Man.
Like, I think Baroness was originally from Georgia as well. Savannah, though, not Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
Man.
so
I was
they-
thinking of
yeah.
Weed Eater. Weed Eater uses some pretty twangy guitar bits here
yeah,
and
that
there.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
from North Carolina, but
Mhm.
kind of similar Appalachia sort of feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
Georgia's
man.
not Appalachia. I'm an idiot. But you know what I mean. Southern
Well, it's-
inspired.
Well,
but-
Southern fried.
It's you know, it's Appalachia adjacent, you know.
Is it? I actually can't think geographically if that's correct or not.
I mean,
now
well,
that
because
I
the
don't-
Appalachian Mountains were you know
You're
what?
going to
Yeah,
offend your
you're
Appalachian
right.
audience if we're wrong about that. I'm just saying.
I should not talk about where the Appalachians start and end because I
don't
don't
know.
know. I do not know. But we'll maybe drop a little information fact clip here.
Northern Georgia does have
Okay,
some
good. It
counties.
is Georgia too. Yeah.
All
okay.
right, cool. We're not stupid.
Yeah, and North Carolina and South Carolina.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry, we're all in different rooms. Did we all just look that up?
I didn't. I was just gonna let.
I
the,
did,
I was just
yeah.
gonna let the audience look it up. But yeah. Appalachia, but yeah, definitely has that. You're right. Has that feel. And this definitely accentuates that feel. If you didn't already know, you know. And this is also the first time they bring up a different creature than the white whale. Well, yeah, that's right. They mentioned the sperm whale, but this is like a whole different thing. This is not part of the Moby Dick story. This is not, you know, this is just a different mythical creature. So,
For sure.
yeah, this is what I mean by like you know, not every song is about the, you know, directly from the book.
And like Nathan had mentioned, that water theme still runs through it as like an elemental album theme.
Definitely.
I also think that bit of the like the twangy southernness coming in is something where of maybe their band's styling actually peeking through a little bit, because it seems like this album to me musically is pretty unitary, but that's something that where it's like, oh, let's the second of let's drop the album sound and do our natural underlying band sound when we're not on this project, you know?
Yeah. Because that is, especially for metal bands, there's like, the album they have to put out every now and again, and then just them probably dicking around sometimes on stage shows and making them longer than, your album version of the song or something. But though I think we should take a little break though, guys. What do you think?
It's all right.
Yeah.
I gotta pee. So.
Yep, it is the middle of the podcast pee break, and we're gonna take it. And when we come back, we have the next track is Naked Burn, so be looking forward to that.
This is Jake the Snake Foster from Under the Covers with Jake the Snake Foster, and you're listening to the Album Concept Hour.
Oh, I'll have one more at least.
No, don't worry about it. We got something for that. Actually, while we're coming back from the break, we might as well just get right into this. All right. Well, for today's episode, we don't have Dave, but I think Reis, you're probably our next closest beer aficionado. You've worked at a few breweries in your time.
Couple, 2, 3, yeah.
Yeah. What are you sipping on tonight?
Oh, currently I'm drinking Liquid Mechanics Hopacity. It's a both coast IPA, so East Coast, West Coast crossover.
Okay.
From Liquid Mechanics Brewing in Colorado here.
Nice.
They're in Lafayette, Colorado.
They got pretty good.
Really, really good.
They have pretty good stuff in Colorado.
Great beer. And actually, I would say, for my personal tastes, I still kind of harken back to a lot of my Wisconsin roots as far as what I like to drink, because I love big IPAs and stuff.
It's hard not to.
The Colorado style is usually more balanced. This Hopacity IPA is juicy, but not too much. It reminds me a lot of Fantasy Factory from back in Wisconsin, for example.
Oh, yeah.
It's just delicious. It is my favorite current beer. And then other than that, I have been, I have this beer called The Farmer's Daughter, and I've had a couple of them tonight. It's an Oktoberfest from Grimm's Brothers Brewing. So I guess you could say I've been dipping my wick in The Farmer's Daughter.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of the show.
Beer,
I kind of like it.
No, I actually heard about that. I saw that at Mr. Brew's Tap House.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's Grimm Brothers, and they make really, really good beer. They've got national distribution.
Nice.
And then I also had one called Notoberfest from New Image Brewing. Notoberfest because it was called the Year of No. So it's the 2020 Oktoberfest.
That is, that's very, that works.
I'm on my usual seasonal kick with, I drink Oktoberfest all through September because it's tradition, God damn it.
So you actually you drink kind of with the seasons a little bit.
No, usually just this one mostly. My box are kind of meh. And I guess in summer I do drink more lagers and lighter brews. And stuff like that.
I actually
goes down easy.
Yeah, it is, especially if it's hot out or something. Like you don't want to drink really heavy beer.
But see, even then, pretty much an IPA is always my go-to. So thus the Liquid Mechanics is, where it's at for me right now. So.
Liquid Mechanics. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good name too. Good beer.
Yeah. What about you, John? What have you been sipping on tonight?
Well, thanks to you, I found a young blood beer company. I hate craft beer, which was just gosh darn perfect for me because I'm not a big fan of the craft.
Yeah,
beer.
I thought that would be perfect for you.
My dad loves it, but this worked out quite wonderful. It was a nice light lager.
Yeah,
and it tickled my taste buds quite the fancy. It was good.
Yeah. Maybe I'll try to find one special beer for you every
Hey
week.
man, you do you. But that was good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I got the old Steel Reserve and some water.
Old standard.
Old standards.
Yeah. For sure. What about you, Nate? What have you been sipping on tonight?
Well, tonight I've got just the good old dihydrogen monoxide with the polyfluoral alcohol substances in it from the local water, and maybe
I heard that's poison, man.
Yeah, it's like cancer-causing chemicals.
That's not good.
Yeah, you got that Eric and Brock
no bueno,
right?
Yeah, you got that.
I mean, so normally, I
hope
mean,
that
I don't
doesn't
really
give
drink,
you the COVID.
I don't really drink on the weeknights anymore, but lately I've always liked Oberon, and you talk about summer beers, and it's the end of summer, and like I'd still probably get some Oberon before summer's
that's
over.
a good summer beer for
Yeah.
Oh man.
sure.
Yeah.
And lately, though, I don't know, Reese, if you've tried the Carbon 4. They have their own hard seltzers which actually have lactic acid in
I
them.
fucking hate hard seltzers.
Okay, but here
We have a ruling
no.
from
Hear me
the,
out. They do them right there. They do them right there because they
Blasphemer.
have like a lactic acid in it to make the alcohol, and so it actually gives it more of like a sweet tart flavor, like real fruit.
like from milk.
Yeah, lactic acid.
Lactic acid does some cool stuff, and it's great
It does
in
some cool
beer,
stuff.
Huh.
Yeah,
And I still
it's-
just fucking hate hard seltzer.
I don't know. I don't really.
It is like the newest drinking movement. Like there was the IPA like craze like when I first
God
started
damn
drinking
it.
kind
And
of.
it's because it's the calorie cutting thing. I get it. I just don't.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't like a vodka seltzer or a vodka tonic.
I'm
I
the
don't
same.
fucking drink it.
I'm the
I think
same.
it tastes like shit, and I want something that.
Well,
Give
it's
me
like a
whiskey
watered
if I'm
down
drinking
vodka.
I
alcohol,
haven't
or
had
let
a-
me slam
oh,
my
man.
vodka for fuck's
You say
sake.
that, and I want a gin and tonic now, and like my head is swelling with like that feeling of like, oh,
And
the
needing a gin and tonic.
Christmas trees.
That was your drink, man. I think
Yeah,
that was your
my
go-to.
drink for
Your drink for a
years.
while.
Yeah. Mine was rum and coke at the
You
booth.
used to do a Di Serono and Coke once in a while too,
Sh-
Nate. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember when
Shout
I
out
did
to-
Dr. Pepper. It was way too sweet.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Winslow though, from the Caribou on Johnson Street. Don't
Oh,
let-
I miss that guy.
Don't
and I
ever
miss
let
that
them
fucking
tear
place.
that building down, people. It's the greatest. It's got some of the greatest bartenders.
If
in
they
town.
try and tear down the boo, you start a fucking riot.
I'm gonna start a
Madison. You do
goddamn
it.
riot.
Oh my
We're
god,
gonna
we're
walk
talking about the boo.
all the way up and down Johnson Street.
Talking about the boo.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Shanky Bar.
Yeah, man.
The Shanky
Oh
Bar.
yeah, that's right. Our friend.
The
Shanky
other
did that.
half of a goddamn laundromat. The second
laundromat.
sketchiest bar I have ever been to in my entire
so
life.
good. So
That's
diving.
the second sketchiest bar you've ever been to. That's not even trying.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
man.
gonna say there's like probably
haven't
like
been to my
2 or 3 in
sketchiest.
Madison.
Yeah, I've been to my
What's the
sketchiest.
What's the sketchiest?
though.
What's the sketchiest?
Oh, it's called the Dump, the Springfield
It's just
Inn.
called the Springfield
It's
Inn.
called the Springfield Inn, but we call
All
it
right,
the
I've
Dump.
not been to that
It
one.
is-
Us locals call it the Dump.
Nice.
You
Well,
can do anything
I
in
got
there.
at least 3, 4, or 5.
You can
that clock
spit
in
on the
way
floor
over
and ain't no
Caribou
one
sketchy.
kicking you out. They had holes in the ceiling. Best story from the Springfield
pretty
Inn
good.
ever. Best story from the Springfield Inn ever was back during the 70s. I found out that because someone was telling me when the gas station that used to be across the road would close down and they would run out of ice. If it was winter, they'd just go outside and pick ice and snow off the roof, throw it in the drinks.
Oh,
People would
classic.
get little twigs and berries and leaves in their drink. They didn't care.
it's all natural.
Country folk, man. Yeah.
It's all
Well, I can
natural.
give you a couple for sure. Okay, so sketchier than the Caribou, the Paradise Lounge for sure.
Oh, yeah,
I mean
yeah, yeah.
the dice. The dice
yeah.
is
The dice.
the dice is a spot.
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Wisco, and I was at the Wisco apparently after its heyday because hearing from my uncle, the Wisco. If you ever walk through there it's been remodeled. Back when apparently there used to be holes in the floor and they would set strategic pieces of wood over the holes in the floor, but they never fixed them. When I was there, they just had metal plates on the floor that apparently covered those same holes.
Nice. They just
And then
upgraded
if you just want a
metal,
bad,
metal
dirty
planks.
bar,
Yeah.
there's the Farm Bar outside of Madison. That place, don't even bother
those are
ever
the
stopping
best
there.
ones.
No, the Farm Bar is so bad. It is not like a good country bar to stop at. It's
Okay.
I ordered beer and I was like, hey, we ordered Budweiser. I think you gave us Bud Light Lime. And she's like, oh, no, our beer just tastes like that.
Well, that's
it just our sinks
That's-
just have a
that's
hint of
interesting.
lime in them.
they put the lime.
Yeah. Maybe they were talking about the mineral lime,
Oh,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and that place literally managed to both horribly blacken and burn my burger on the outside and
What?
leave it
A burger?
perfectly frozen
How do you
in the
do-
middle.
Oh my god, guys. That's bad.
I
That's
mean,
dive.
you want to talk about the worst bars in Madison, man? Fucking Buckingham.
Yeah, that's the new segment.
bar.
That's the new segment, by the way. The worst
is-
bars in Madison.
Yeah,
That is a fucking shithole. How long did you work there?
I worked there for a few years, and then
Twice.
I,
You
and then I went
worked
back
there.
for seconds.
Ah! That's
I went back
awesome.
for seconds. I convinced him to pay me $4 more an hour the second time.
Yeah, you did.
That's boss.
That's
That's
so
a boss
great.
It's
move.
almost
That's so
$6
great.
an hour.
You get the standing ovation, Brett. That part's making it into the podcast.
Hell yeah.
Standing. I demanded $4 more an hour. That's right,
I
bud.
fucking
Well
got it.
done.
For the
You
record, if
tell
any
those-
Paradise listeners
you
are there.
tell
I love
those
the Paradise.
capitalist
It's just
shits.
a shithole.
Yeah. But yeah, you put Winslow in any one of those bars, and it's a fucking paradise, a real paradise.
Yeah.
Also, another shitty bar, the Tiki Shack, was a shit bar.
Oh
in
yeah,
Madison.
but it's
God
gone now.
Damn.
It's gone.
Is it? Thank fuck.
I feel like someone recently was praising the Tiki Bar to me really a lot.
Oh
so.
my god, it was so bad. I mean, I knew the guys that owned it at one point, and I mean, they were nice fellas, but I mean, they
Yeah.
knew what their bar was, and it was a shithole.
Yeah, no, it was a.
You
it
know,
was
you
just
can
a
thrive
it was
for
a
a
college
long time on
like
that.
frat boy and sorority
Well,
girl
it was
spot.
but it was a college guys meeting older Madison Cougars bar. That's why it thrived. That was actually its specialty. apparently.
Wait, that was its thing.
That was its. My roommates used. You
Okay,
remember
yeah,
Spencer?
I must have missed
Eli,
this
they would say
entirely.
that was that bar's
Dude,
flavor.
It was island
Okay.
cocktails in plastic cups.
I
It's
guess
like
what. Now that you say
a
it,
little
I
bit of
guess
the
it makes
Virgin Islands in
sense.
Madison.
Yeah, but shit. Okay. Well, as for me, I speaking of all these Wisconsin bars, I drank a drink Wisconsibly to start things out by Lagunitas and Lagunitas.
Wisconsin
Lagunitas.
Blue.
They're not from fucking
Liga
Wisconsin. They're
Nudis.
from Illinois and California.
Wait, is it not that? I don't have that can in front of me. But
No, it's probably the right can, but Lagunitas just isn't from there.
that's weird.
Legionnaire's disease.
They're just taking advantage of our love of our state.
That's
But I had the T-shirt that said "Drink Wisconsibly," and I didn't know that it was a beer, so I was really surprised when I walked in and there was like, "Hey, they made a beer of my T-shirt."
How's the beer?
It's all right. It is a very Wisconsin. It like reminds me of like maybe some Spotted Cow or something. You know, just really easy to drink. Like
Legit.
yeah. It's a good solid Wisconsin beer. And then I also have some Young Blood Brewing Company because I got a 4-pack of different ones. So the first one I had it's called What IPAs Are on Draft is the name of that one. They have a lot of these fun kind of like hipstery names. Like this one is actually called Accidental Man Bun, and this
Nice.
one is a cream ale. So, yeah.
God, that could describe me soon. I'm not gonna.
I think that's most of us. I think we're all
Not
devolving.
cutting my hair because of COVID. I'm still. I'll be honest, man. Like, you sit so fucking long next to your barber, and you don't know who your barber was with in that last 2 weeks. Like, I don't really want to go hang out with this dude for 35 minutes right behind my head.
In Wisconsin right now, we're like number 2 in outbreak,
yeah.
almost number 1, and it's all because of
Hey,
don't want to go anywhere in Madison.
At
right
least
now,
we're winning at something. You know what I mean?
right.
Titletown. You know.
Yep.
I'm also drinking Left Hand Brewing Company's White Russian Nitro, and it's some stout with coffee and vanilla added. But I can't
That's
drink
Colorado
much of this.
beer, and it's delicious. Left Hand Brewery, super
Can't drink
cool.
much of it right now though, because it's too much coffee, too much caffeine.
Yeah, that'll get you riled up.
Yeah, I don't want to get riled up. I mean, we have a whole ass podcast to do here, so.
We got a whole
But yeah.
half-ass podcast to do. Half of a podcast,
Oh, speaking of
not a
which, we should
half-ass
probably.
podcast.
Speaking of which, we should probably close out this this segment, Madison's worst bars, with the outro.
That was a nice double segment.
One for the books, you know.
Seriously, cheers.
But this next
Cheers.
song we have is another part of the story of Mastodon's Leviathan, and it is Naked Burn. Hell yeah. That's more of those vocals from what is that? Brent Brent Hines, is that his name?
Brent Hines, yeah, he's the
Yeah.
guy with the more like grungy-esque Yarly voice.
Yeah, I guess
And yeah,
I wouldn't think grungy, but yeah, if you take it outside of this music, it could be. Yeah, I see that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could see.
Yeah,
I
it's
could
that singier kind of
It's like
not so much
yelling
like
almost.
Nirvana kind of thing, but
Yeah, it's like
There's
kind
a
of
lot-
between that and metal. You know.
you could see
It's-
Dave Grohl singing that way kind of shit.
It's more in the
Yeah,
nose
yeah.
than it is in the diaphragm. It's the more nasally, high pitched
Yeah.
kind of.
And
That's
they're
how I sound all the time because I've
yeah, right.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely they're definitely the parts where, like, if you're a non-metal fan, these are the parts you probably understand the clearest. Like John, this is probably a little clearer to you with the actual, like,
Yes.
it's also phrasing that is much more consistent with like standard singing than
yeah,
some of their stuff. They were going pretty math heavy with how they're writing their time signatures in this album. I would
Oh
say.
yeah, it's
And
all over the math
this is
signatures. The
clear
time
and
signatures are
clean.
all over the place in this album.
But their singing follows that too in some of the
Yeah.
earlier songs where they're really like staccatoing the words to make it match the beat, whereas this is sung out properly for a song.
Yeah, yeah. And I like that they take that seriously. Like they could just scream the whole time, and I'm sure that they would be lauded as well. But like, I like it when people have like throw out their vocals, whether or not they're like polished or poppy or something. Like, there's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Kind of like the other guy in like System of a Down. He's kind of got a weird nasally voice going on. That's not very pop radio friendly necessarily, but it's like it's characteristic of him. Like, this is definitely one of those voices where it's like, it always sounds like him.
No,
And
yeah,
it's nice of. Oh, go ahead, John.
I definitely remember being able to actually understand like some of this song.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It was definitely like
Yeah,
definitely went down that road.
yeah. Luckily, we've had the lyrics up, which helps.
Yes.
But yeah. John is, like we said, he's a little less into the know with the metal, so it's nice to have these little singing moments here and there. What were you gonna say, Nate?
Oh, I was just gonna say that, like, so this band, I think about a lot of metal bands that like went through a lot of members. They have a lot of they've always had the same members for their whole history. I don't think they've changed members at all.
Wow.
So they're kind of. So I was going
That's
to say
pretty
that
cool.
what I like about it is that they do have different singers and that they trade off duties a little bit, and they all kind of contribute to songwriting in a way that's kind of like the Beatles in a way, kind of like Rush in a way, where like everybody has a part at different aspects of the music in different times.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was saying this in the
And
Tommy.
they throw it in there a lot.
Yeah, I was saying in the Tommy episode that, like, we listened to Tommy and then I listened to the albums of the Who after Tommy, and that seems to be when there was like this turn from like most of the people in the band singing to like one being like the focus.
Roger Daltrey.
And so this is like going back to the roots of like rock music, where it was like it was more focused on the group element, not like the one like a band leader. You know what I mean?
That's
Or-
what I love about like
Yeah.
60s and 70s music.
Yeah,
Like it was really it was
Yeah.
trying to incorporate everybody as much as possible.
yeah,
And you're
very
carrying
collaborative.
Everything
vision
kinda
throughout
mattered.
each album.
Yes, yeah, together, and it wasn't as much about the egos. Whereas, like, we've talked about before, like where like kind of the '70s, like
That
egos really
shit
took
ruined
off.
Everything.
Which, I mean, there was some, I will say, I mean, there was some great music that came off the back of those egos. But I mean, like, it was still like, as far as someone that likes harmonies and hearing a lot of vocals, like, it was a downturn for me, But yeah, I like that. Yeah, they trade off, and they continue to trade off in later stuff too. Like, they're very collaborative in general, I think. But yeah, I didn't know that they had the same members throughout. That's really cool because that is kind of rare.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what that is. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, this song though is I don't know if this is I think this is another one that doesn't necessarily connect to Moby Dick. Like it talks about Nephilims in the beginning, which is if you don't know, it's someone that like basically a god or angel or something impregnates a human woman, and then they give birth to this giant who's like I guess maybe the Norse version of like a Hercules type of deal.
Or the Christian version of like a Jesus.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how
Oh, he went there.
Well, I don't know how tall Jesus was though.
No,
I don't know if he
but
was.
those stories,
16 feet.
Yeah, they left that part out of the
Yeah.
New Testament. They were like, you know what? I know he's freaking huge, but let's just, you know what? No one needs to know about.
No wonder why everyone thought
16
he was a
feet
freak.
and hung like this.
Nice.
I hope you all got the hand motion I was implying.
Oh
there.
no, I didn't need to see it. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Speaking of the church, the clip
And
that I
that's why they
picked-
call me the Blasphemer.
That's why, yeah, that's true. There's a reason you have your names. But yeah, the clip that I chose, he talks about the churches burning from the inside out, altars falling into ashes again, and then an eagle flies upon horizons with sight, focusing on all our family and friends.
Quite epic family.
Very big
shit.
imagery right here. Yeah, I think that I don't know if they're making, trying to make like commentary on the church necessarily, but it does remind me of a similar lyric from the Felix Culpa, which is "Only fools put faith in that which burns." Right? And it was about the song in general was about the church at the time too, but it was kind of like basically the idea that like the point isn't the building of the church and the like items in the church and the that kind of stuff. It's not the material things about the church that are important. It's the actual family and friends and all that stuff and community and shit. Stuff that's tangible.
It's the eagle that flies upon horizons with sight,
Yes.
focusing on all our families and friends.
Yes. Although I don't know if the
beautiful.
eagle in this one is focusing in a good way though. Everything seems a little suspect in this album, like they're trying to kill the humans.
Little expect.
Although the humans are killing everything else in sight, so I mean,
We don't care. We kill everything.
that's what we do, man.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Ahab, bro. But yeah, it's just another like, kind of just classic like mythical based metal song, Like we had the Norse mythology one, which like just barely kind of connected with the theme, and then we have this one, which is like again
Very
another...
nice use of metal music.
Yeah. And this is the one I was talking about. That's not the one that's not part of the sea necessarily. The Nephilim isn't necessarily part of like sea mythology. It's it happens. I believe it starts on land at least, because the women are. On
Yeah, I
land.
think the only thing I can find in the song is they reference ships arriving and sailing into the weather, but it's not like the whole song is really about that. It's just a line they throw in there.
Yeah. This is kind of just like I feel like this is like a kind of a standalone kind of song. It doesn't really need to necessarily exist within this album or out of in the story. It's just a good metal tune. And then the next track we have here is Aqua Dementia, which is yet another track that kind of... I feel like I just noticed this right now, but the 3 songs that are actually not directly about Moby Dick are all in a row. They're tracks 6, 7, and 8. So... Yeah, I think that's interesting that they framed it like that. But yeah. Anyway, this next
It should
song
be like
we'll
that.
get into to what the Aqua Dementia is about, though. This is Aqua Dementia. This is the one with Scott Kelly of Neurosis that we mentioned earlier, and I believe that clip had his vocals as well. So,
and I love Neurosis.
Yeah, can you tell me a little
is-
bit about Neurosis? I don't know anything really about it.
God, they are just
Like, how old is Neurosis? Like, how far do they go?
90. I'd have to look it up because I honestly
Okay.
can't think off the top of my head. Early
Yeah.
90s.
Okay,
I think it was, they formed in the early 90s. They started off as kind of like thrash.
so. Similar time as like Clutch, like the other guest vocal.
Yeah. And then they
Okay.
became pioneers of like of sludge, which is like
Yeah, a lot of
a
these
term.
songs say sludge.
What's that?
A lot of these songs say sludge in their genre description.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would not think of Mastodon as sludge whatsoever, but I would for Neurosis. If you mean the Mastodon,
Maybe
showing.
maybe it means like they
Yeah.
were inspired by sludge.
Yeah. This is an era of music inspired by an earlier wave of sludge, which is like Neurosis,
Yeah.
Sleep, High on
Sleep
Fire.
is sludge. Yeah, we did Sleep
yeah.
Jerusalem.
Yeah,
I
these
mean,
guys,
even Eyehategod, Eyehategod
Mhm.
was another big Southern sludge band, and I kind of feel some of their
Just
kind of
called
atonalness
Eyehategod.
from Mastodon in time. Neurosis is one of them that started as really hardcore punk and moved into this sludgy side of things where they were
Okay.
a little more atonal, a little more weird, a little heavier and slower. And
Yeah.
also they were one of the first bands they wrote a whole album called Through Silver and Blood, which I would love to do on this show sometime because it's about them shooting up heroin and getting totally lost. Baroness recently, band that also started as a sludge and hardcore band and
Okay.
became very much a mainstream rock band recently.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think of them along with Mastodon because they're somebody who went really commercial recently, but also has these roots as a serious hardcore band. I still respect. the fuck out of
Like
them
I
for
wouldn't
it.
say that they changed their sound to be commercial, but they ended up having some, I think they ended up having tunes that worked on certain stations. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right.
I don't think that they make music for radio. You know what
I
I mean?
mean,
What do you think?
Baroness is a band. I mean, yeah, they definitely aren't metal anymore, but they definitely are like one of those bands that kind of convinced me that like you didn't need to necessarily it's kind of what got me back into other genres as an adult over time as they evolved away from metal. But not to say that I don't listen to metal at all anymore. It's just like
you don't just listen to metal.
Yeah, exactly. But I used to
yeah.
listen to metal all the fucking time, no matter what.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
and what I was going to say about Baroness in particular is that Baroness did their, with reference to Neurosis here, Baroness did Yellow and Green, which were their albums about after being injured in a horrific accident, getting addicted to pain pills and stuff.
Wait, wasn't that before the accident?
It was
Yellow and
before
Green?
the accident, yeah, but it was
Yellow
like
and Green-
prophetic almost.
Yeah, Yellow and Green was
Yeah.
prophetic, but it was like technically before.
I thought that it happened after. Oh,
No, I know.
No,
That's
all right.
That's one of the coolest fucking things
Oh no, it's
about
purple.
it.
Purple is when they started after.
Oh,
yeah, purple is they're
Purple.
bruised and yeah.
Yeah, they
And
got a
Purple's
few
where they
songs about
started
that.
really talking about drugs in their songs.
Yeah.
And Neurosis was doing that like heavily in their songs, but also not like
All the time.
referentially.
Yeah.
And I love that any member of theirs contributed to Mastodon's work because it's just they got the right sound for it, man. They're so good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
we
and-
were saying earlier how Scott Kelly was on more
Yeah.
songs after this too, for every
Yeah.
album of Mastodon afterward.
Yeah. And I think that it was probably one of those things where I'm guessing Mastodon reached out to them because of they were probably semi-successful after Redeemer and maybe wanted to pay tribute to who inspired them, since they had the ability to do that. I mean, I know if I was signed and had, enough money to bring in one of these guys, I'd be like, hey, record label, let's do this. So yeah, I think that it's cool because it's both they are paying tribute to the older guys, and then the guy in this song is continuing to work with them and helping along the new wave of metal, But yeah, this song's about clairvoyance and some like environmental kind of issues that don't necessarily. Well, I guess environmental issues do come into play with Moby Dick. So I mean, it's not completely out of line with the story, but yeah, it talks about like the world, like Mother Earth is in like she. So he says like she is dumped on, used as an ashtray at the expense of an organized association.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
That really
Uh-huh.
kind of the nail on the or hammer on the nail. Boom.
Yeah. Nail on the head.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite. So yeah, there's a lot. It's they don't really get into this stuff too much in this album. So there's like maybe the one track they get kind of on a soapbox about something that matters. But
Hey, man, that's important too.
yeah. The world's important, guys. Take care of it. And we cleanse the earth to bring it down.
Just remember, it's what we walk on, people.
And God
I'm
will,
done, but
and,
that's
and
what
God
we
will watch
walk
it
on.
burn, releasing souls again. Within the wrath we wait to be dirt again. So yeah, it's pretty bleak.
They're just watching to wait to see.
But
if we'll
it is
fail
aqua
or succeed.
dementia. What?
They're just watching to wait and see if we'll fail or succeed right now.
Yeah. That's it, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have too much to say about this track in particular. It's just it's a nice little nod to the metal community.
Maybe making them also think like we really don't support killing whales. Still, trust us.
This is just a
story.
story.
Yeah. Like still don't
That's
do
where
that.
we're at. This
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
a story.
Yeah. And they mentioned hydras too. That's right, this line. Before they knew it, the sun had fallen, boiling the water where the hydras were crawling. The righteous go
was a
in
hard
blazing fury. So there are a lot of ancient traditions that have some kind of imagery of the sun falling into the earth. So I think that they're maybe referencing that kind of, again, primordial type of storytelling. Which there are some people nowadays that think that maybe it was a meteorite that the early people saw, hit the waters, because it says boiling the water where the hydras were crawling.
That's true.
So, yeah,
That
that's
would've been
that's just my take. I think that
fish.
maybe he's
Giant
doing a
fish under
subtle
the
nod
water
to
would have been hydras crawling.
yeah.
Like, where's the water?
Yeah, I don't normally think of hydras as underwater, but I guess
Well,
they can
you know
fit.
what? They would call it a hydra. Do you know how much stuff is underneath the sea?
No.
man?
I'm just saying, like in like Greek mythology, it's like.
Fair enough.
Is it a water thing? Maybe it is. I
It's
don't
not-
know.
it's
I don't know too
not-
much.
it's not
It does
a
sound
water
like a
thing.
water thing, doesn't
It's
it?
not a water thing.
It's called
But
hydra.
it's literally
hydra.
like a lizard-like thing with multiple. And you know what? That could still be under the sea. Who knows?
Under the sea.
Who knows?
Under the sea.
We don't know what's under the sea. There's so much stuff
Yeah.
in the ocean that we know nothing.
Well,
about.
you know who's about to
Anyways.
know what's under the sea, guys? The whole goddamn crew, because this is Hearts Alive, and they're about to run into the white whale. The deep, the caverns of the deep is the last word. But yeah, actually, this does connect to the previous song. It says boiling. So instead of the ocean boiling because the sun is hitting the ocean is boiling because the white whale is coming up from the under the water. So it's like not technically boiling like as in heat, but it's like rippling, and it looks like a boil when a whale is coming up.
He's a whale and a dragon, kind of.
Yes, he's a sea dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got Ahab's leg, and Ahab wants it back, I guess. But if you know anything about
So-
Moby Dick, you know it doesn't go well for the crew. What was that, Reese?
It does not.
Oh, so the phrasing and the way that this song is sung, it's something that actually in good ways reminds you of that, like the classic 90s rock sound, the way that he sings those lines. And it's not a bad thing. It's why I think that this album's so accessible to people, and why, like, I don't know, if somebody's like out there and hears this podcast and doesn't listen to metal and is like, should I listen to this whole album? It's like 46 minutes. Like, dude, do it, because you're probably gonna like it.
Yeah.
Like, the hard parts of this album, I don't think detract from the overall music or the clean singing, and that's part of the reason.
Yeah, it is accessible. Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is like one of the first ones that I ever even like paid attention to, because it just broke through the barrier of, like, I was not a metal fan. I was in a pop punk band at the time, so I mean, I was very much not a metal guy. And it was so good. So yeah, it transcends that kind of thing, you know. It transcends the genre in a way.
For sure.
And this song is, I know we've said that like a lot of transitions are short and sweet, but this song is 13 minutes and 40 seconds. So they really give themselves time to breathe in this song in particular. There's like a huge instrumental section that's just epic as hell, but I couldn't pick just 15 seconds of that, you know.
It's hard.
It's really a third of the
So
album almost.
hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's the whole battle between Ahab and the crew and the whale, you know. So it represents a lot of things happening.
I think it's kind of a precursor to what they end up doing on Crack the Sky, where they really started to go in a proggier direction, kind of started to step away from metal for the first time.
Yeah.
And almost every song on that album is like 7.5 minutes or more longer.
Nice.
And so, yeah, this is kind of the side of Mastodon that I like the most, to be honest. Like, they've started to do more thrashy stuff again lately, even though it's mainstream.
Yeah.
But I've always liked when they're like, okay, let's take a second here to play a weird like sound tone on this guitar.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't like overstay its welcome. You know what I mean? Like
jazzy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you don't get sick of like this song, although it's 13 and some odd second. Like you don't get sick of this song. In fact, at the end, I just kind of wanted to keep going, honestly. But like the pacing's really good. It doesn't like some quote unquote stoner metal will do a jam session song, but then like it's just so repetitive or something that it's not of this caliber, but yeah, they space out the vocals really well, and like they really, really take their time with this whole song, like just piece by piece.
I think that's where so when you talk about progressive rock and progressive metal, like the term progressive comes in so many different meanings in a certain way. And one of them is that the song progressing somewhere, not just being like a banger that's just like, let's fucking go start to finish. Let's fucking 6 minutes, rock as hard as we can. It's like, no, like let's take our time, break down a couple times, like build up the pacing and tell a story throughout it. And maybe that's one of the few flaws in this whole album, because it's really a great album, but also when I see like a review about it where they're saying that it lacks something, is that it lacked enough of that buildup that they did in later albums. But also, if you're into the really harder side of rock and harder side of metal, it's also accessible to you, because it'll convince you to listen to this story-based songwriting that you might like say to fuck off otherwise to, if you like hardcore punk, or you like, some fast, hard metal and like some of the Southern sludge stuff that doesn't have time for that in their songwriting. Like,
Yeah. They really, they take their time with it, and And I love this album because of are so many cool stories being told throughout the lyrics. Like I can't even begin to cover it all because there's so many mythological things being touched on. And I think that's, part of why they are a mainstay of like metal. They like this is, they're talking about like prehistoric shit, Moby Dick, like, this stuff is old stuff they're talking about, So, yeah. Time
Well, no,
and
and
space
it
alone
really
could be
matches
a
up with
lonely
popular
place. What?
culture too, because it's like that's where a lot of like your superhero movies are coming from. They're coming from a lot of mythological aspects, merging with other aspects on both sides.
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
It always gets into something
It's
prehistoric.
It's really neat because especially with the Marvel movies, you really see this merging of like scientific and like magical culture
and fantasy,
and that's really cool because it's kind of that could be true.
Mm-hmm.
There's a version of history where those magical spectacular lights they use. Well, when you're a simpler human, you don't know what that is.
I want to see one of these Marvel movies with like a really out there like soundtrack, like some Mastodon shit. You know what I mean? I want to see some really weird art film MCU. About some like maybe some prehistoric hero that doesn't even speak. It's like
I'm just trying to think of a weird hero to use for
you
it.
could check out the New Mutants soundtrack, possibly. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like it'd be a cool thing that they could.
Because Marvel's really been using.
Hey, at this point they've established what they're doing. Now they need to get into some weird ass fucking shit. As far as I'm concerned.
So we only got one more phase before they're gonna start all over again.
What? No.
They're amassing everything, Brad. They're going to start over again. They're going to start over again with a universe where they can have the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Avengers, all of them in the same universe. They're going to.
What about
the Fantastic Four?
They're going to start.
Movies, by the way.
Disney will remedy that because Disney has more money than God. That's not the point that we're trying to make.
That's true.
God
has
to be fair, though,
Disney will
reboot.
Disney will reboot everything in like soon as they're done with Phase 3, they're gonna take like 2 years and let everything marinate, and then they're gonna start everything over again.
But
because they can.
But what about the Elephant Man?
Oh yes.
They gonna reboot the Elephant Man?
I don't think they can.
I don't know, man.
I want like a
really
good 3-movie bit of the Marvel, like the Civil War, but not even the Civil War they fucking cover that's called Civil War. The actual Civil War between Magneto and the X-Men, but not done the way they did it before. Like really flesh out how horrible that whole conflict was.
See, I really want to see an actual
they should include
the
Elephant
Sentinel
Man.
War.
I want to see an actual like of the original. Because I read the Civil War comics. Yeah. Those are much better in the comics.
I'm just saying, man.
The movie's good. The movie's not bad.
Elephant Man got a bad rap in the MCU. They didn't even give him any. They didn't even give him any of his standalone stuff.
Right.
Like they didn't even give him like a ABC series. He could have cameoed on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but no Elephant Man.
No Elephant Man.
But Mastodon. They got Elephant Man on pat. All right.
Elephant Man.
So they are a big fan of the Elephant Man, aka Joseph Merrick. And so for their album before this, Remission, they have a not hidden track. The outro track is called Elephant Man, as well as the last track of this song or this album called Joseph Merrick. So I have Elephant Man from Remission. So this is the end of Remission by Mastodon, the final track called Elephant Man. All right, now keep that in mind as you hear this next part. Joseph Merrick. So yeah, they're they don't sound too much alike, but they're both about the Elephant Man, which they seem to have at least their early records, they seem to have a fascination with. He was a really intellectual, smart guy that had elephantitis, which he had a bunch of, weird growths on his body and like some bone problems and all sorts of weird stuff. So look up the Elephant Man if you don't know what it is, and you will learn some stuff.
Learn some stuff.
But yeah, it's almost like a little like I don't know, Easter egg, I guess, because the last album had the Elephant Man song at the end.
Yeah, I like this song. This song kind of reminded me of two things. First of all, it reminded me of Call of Cthulhu by an actual song by Metallica.
Yeah,
an instrumental that had a very spooky, similar feel, and both of these songs have a little bit of that spookiness to them. And the other thing it reminded me of was Diablo 2. I don't know if anybody out there listening will be a fan of that in the past, but that game had an awesome soundtrack, and this guitar work reminds me of that. It's spooky.
Yeah.
Just in time for Halloween.
Yeah, I was thinking a little bit like Joseph, or not Joseph Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, yes, one of those J names.
The other Carpenter.
The other Carpenter, yeah.
Then you got Jesus Carpenter. Don't forget Jesus Carpenter.
Oh, that's right. That
Here's
was like
one too.
one of the first ones. But yeah, no, it's a very John Carpenter-esque kind of, like, I could see this at the end of a lot of, like, one thing I thought is like this could be at the end of a lot of different albums. It doesn't really.
It's a nice tie-up, kind of.
Yeah. It's a nice, like, if you were like listening to the album, like, fading out, just kind of like just chilling in your car or something. It's a nice little thing right at the end, because it's like, it's entertaining, like it's fun, and it's instrumental too, and it's just a fun little instrumental bit. So yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
One last thing about the instrumentals.
Yeah.
The syndrome that the Elephant Man had was named after the Greek sea god Proteus, who could change his shape.
Oh, what's it actually called?
Tie-in.
Proteus is his name. It's Protean syndrome or something like that.
No, I
Proteus.
heard of him in the Percy Jackson series that I read.
Proteus syndrome. Proteus syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought it was elephantitis for some reason, but that's probably just something I saw on TV. Okay.
I think elephantitis is a different one. There's different.
Is that a different thing?
I'm not going to pretend to know it.
Yeah.
Well,
doctors DM me. All right. I'll tell you on the next episode.
Yeah. There's partial gigantism involved, but yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's pretty much been the Mastodon Leviathan. Unless you guys have any closing thoughts on that, the epic.
Didn't
Mastodon
understand it. Great music.
All right,
But
I'm glad to expose you to
I
it.
learned a lot listening to you guys, and that's awesome. So thank you, fellas.
Yeah. And then, I was gonna say before we get out of here, though, we're gonna do something.
One more tradition.
We're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm going to mix in the what have we been listening to and the desert island thing, just because we got two things going on.
Sure.
So we're gonna spring on you guys your top 5 desert island songs. So. Oh no, that's not.
Whoa!
That's not it at all. No, this is the theme song for the desert island mix. All right. So we'll start with you, Nathan. You what is your top 5 desert island albums?
Yeah, I wrote these down. So I kind of cheated a little bit. I was thinking originally I was thinking
totally
like greatest
accept
hits.
cheating here.
What?
We
But then
totally
I said a
accept
greatest
cheating. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
Traveling Wilburys volume 1 or
Ooh,
2. I don't
okay.
care which one.
Okay, nice.
But
Nice
my
pick.
idea
I
there
like
was
that.
that I could combine all of these artists that I like in different ways that kind of came together to do a super group,
That's
and I could
smart.
hit a lot
Oh,
of
and
bases with
they
that.
sound so great together too.
Yeah, that's a cheat I haven't
Right.
heard yet. Actually, that's a good one.
And then I wouldn't have to put the Beatles or like anything in there.
Yeah, you did. Well,
Um,
you got George.
yeah, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
Bob Dylan too.
Oh, it sounds so good. Oh, and oh, what the
Neil.
no,
Young?
Tom Petty. Tom Petty's in there too. Yeah.
Wait, is it? No, it's not. Is it Tom Petty?
Tom Petty, yeah, Tom Petty and Roy Orbison.
Roy
Yeah.
Orbison.
And-
That's the
There
other
we
guy I was
go.
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
Okay, and then I would do Rust in Peace by Megadeth because that's I think the best thrash album ever, and I still listen to it to this day, even though I've left the
Nice.
cult of personality of Dave Mustaine
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cults of personality are no fun anymore.
Yeah, recently is in the last like 6 years because
Cult
his
of
latest shit sucks. Dave Mustaine sucks now.
Yeah,
AC/DC Live
happens.
because of nostalgia. I just said I would get that,
Oh,
and then I was
yeah, yeah.
thinking, yeah, and then I was thinking Wesley Willis because fucking rock and roll McDonald's, man, or
It's
like
pretty.
I'm
great.
sorry I got fat. I don't know if anybody else there knows Wesley Willis, but just look him up. I'm not going to explain it.
I
'cause we're
think I
getting
know
to
what
the
you're
end here.
talking about, but
Yeah.
go on.
And then maybe one more. If I had to choose one more, I would probably I'm gonna throw out there Run the Jewels, and it's kind of a what am I
Oh,
listening
dude, nice.
to? I haven't listened to it a lot in the last couple of weeks, but
Well, it'll
I
be
did
nice
like
and
the
fresh
most
for you on the island that we're sending you to.
yeah,
We're sending you to this island. I don't know if you knew that, but
Free
okay.
vacation.
yeah, your participation in this precludes you going to an island.
okay.
These are the only albums you will have. What was your next one? Sorry,
Oh,
wait.
my last-
Which Run the Jewels? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I would say probably 3.
That's got the most songs.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good choice.
I like that one the best.
Yeah,
Three's good.
Three's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I like 2 best. I'll go on
Okay.
record and say I like 2 best, but 3 is.
I like 2, but
definitely
I honestly think 4 really crushed it recently.
good. Ooh, yeah, 4 is like 2's sequel, I think, to me. You know. But anyway,
I'm gonna have to put my vote for Run the Jewels 1. That's the one we covered.
yeah, we've
Still
covered
damn
we
good.
covered 1 and 4, but see, one of the few episodes you weren't
I
on.
wasn't there for 4.
Yeah.
I had to work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I got
We did a Black Lives Matter special on for Run the Jewels 4, so check that one out.
Seriously.
But yeah, Run the Jewels is good. Is that your 5?
Yeah, that's my 5. I mean,
Nice. And
Oh, that's a
anything
good
you've been
5.
anything you've been jamming on recently that you want to shout out?
well, of course, I'm still obsessed with Baroness. I mean, that's not really that recent. That came out like last year, but also Zombie, Zombi without an E.
Okay.
They came out
the
with
new
a new
album is fantastic.
Yeah, it's called 2020, and it's pretty cool and has a lot more. So it brings back guitar and bass and drums a little bit more to their style.
Okay.
Their previous 2 albums were a little bit more synthy, and
Yeah.
this comes back with a little bit more of a rock and roll and synth vibe. It's like Rush without vocals a little bit.
Okay.
Like imagine like YYZ the instrumental, but like a album of those. It's kind of what it feels like to me.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, all right. What about you, Reese? What's your top 5 Desert Island albums? Do you got it?
Oh man. Okay, so this one I thought about for a while. The other one I didn't at all. So, no particular order. Yob.
Okay.
YOB. That's how you spell that. Our Raw Heart. Just an amazing album. That's one I'm going to make you listen to soon.
Okay.
Sleep's Dope Smoker, because I
Good
listened to that
fucking call.
Yeah.
religiously.
Call back.
So fucking good. We did Jerusalem because Dope Smoker is 1 track.
I know.
I wish we could have done Dope Smoker, though. It just would have been 1 15-second track and a lot of talking.
We had to do
It's
what we had to do.
Jerusalem, and
Yeah.
it's,
But we got it done.
Yeah. We did that one with Veronica, actually.
Nice.
True.
Yeah.
All right. So, total curveball on this one because Desert Island, you don't get to change your music fucking ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Miles Davis,
Ooh.
Sketches of Spain.
Ooh, nice.
Nice one.
It's not even kind of blue.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, Sketches of Spain is fucking amazing, and that's like I can listen to that forever and always find something new.
Yeah.
Gotta
Gotta have a little jazz, man. Gotta have a little bit of jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally
and
get
it could that can be a desert beach album in a certain weird
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
definitely.
you.
Hell yeah.
All right, Bolt Thrower, War Master. That is like my most listened to album probably ever.
All right.
They're like a classic
I feel like I remember you listening to both.
thrash death something. I still don't know where to throw them in a category because they started as hardcore punk. They turned into thrash. They turned into death. They did all of those things better than most people.
Yeah.
And then King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yes.
I'm in your mind, Fuzz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice. An early one. Yeah.
Love it, man. And I can
That is
just
a
I
really
can listen to it
solid
every day
one.
and never get tired of it.
That is, I think, one of the first ones where they like really found their they figured it out what they were, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would also throw out there that I'd be very careful taking any 5 albums to a desert island because they could melt in the sun.
That's true.
And that's
That
not
is
okay.
You gotta keep them
And
in the
wreck your
shade.
vinyl, man.
You gotta keep them in
That'd
the
be
shade,
painful.
guys. Or maybe bury them
That
in
would
the
be
sand.
painful.
Bury them
I
in
might
the
have to
sand
bury them
until
every
you
day
need
and
them.
listen to them at night. You never know.
Yeah. Good call.
I mean, and
We've
I
never
kind
covered
of went
this.
for like a throwaway list, to be honest. But in my head, I was thinking the whole time, like, you know, in Shawshank Redemption, where he's like, how did Dufresne survive 2 weeks of solitary? He's like, all that classical music, it was up in here.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
in here,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, because I feel like I could probably just
Oh,
remember.
the
Well,
shank.
To me, that is your desert island though. Like what's up
That
there
was-
when that shit happens?
That
you know?
was Dufresne's Desert Island. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like some Chopin or something has like a pretty easy approach to a desert island thing. Like anything you can listen to forever and find different variants in the music. The more you
Yeah.
hear it is.
Yeah, definitely.
That's desert island. That's definition.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I kind of gave you my metal knee-jerk desert island list, but
That's
you know,
dude.
it's-
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I have a
That's-
metal list, and then I have a fuck around list.
Yeah, I have a list with a bunch of
So-
stuff crossed out.
what you got to start asking for is the COVID 2020 list for when the next pandemic hits.
Oh my
what do we
God,
listen to when we
right?
live in the woods forever?
That's what we should change this segment to. Is your pandemic list instead of desert island list? Is your pandemic list?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Ah.
Make it
what
more
can
timely.
you get locked into your house for a month with
Yeah.
and not get sick and tired of?
Exactly. What's gonna keep
Right?
you sane?
It's hard.
The advancement of the
Yeah. In this COVID winter we're about to experience.
Oh, good lord, that's coming too.
Yes.
In
Everybody's getting
January
sick.
2021,
Oh.
Everybody's getting
satellite
sick,
network
Brad.
gets knocked out.
Moment of madness.
Well,
ah!
I got a feeling 21 is gonna be a good year though. Wait. Did you say madness?
I said moment of madness. Ah!
Cool. That's what I thought you said. Yeah. So what are you listening to lately then? Is that the end of your desert island?
No, hell no. Totally separate because I thought of the desert island before you told me the second question. So I didn't know. All right. Kind of a curveball too. Johnny Hobo and the Freight Train, some classic folk punk.
Okay. I don't
Really
know that, but-
trashy music, and I say that in the best possible way. Like it's like let's smoke some cigarettes, drink a bunch of whiskey, and
Nothing
just
wrong with some
blackout
trash.
vomiting on the train tracks. That's what that's about, and I love it. And I can't get enough of it. It's kind of depressing music, but kind of weirdly happy for me.
Yeah. Just your perfect mix of the two.
And it's a guy with a harmonica and a guitar who can barely play, and it's great.
Nice,
You know.
nice, perfect for Johnny Hobo.
Trash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Panopticon. Actually, this is maybe a little back because I haven't been into it as much for the summer. It's more of a fall winter thing for me. But also, Panopticon is this band the guy currently lives in Minnesota. I believe he's originally from Kentucky, but don't quote me on that.
Minnesota is a pretty metal place.
Yeah,
Long
well, and he
win-
wrote an
long,
album
hard
called
winters.
Kentucky about coal miners and their
That's really
strikes
good.
and their labor
Oh,
movement
okay.
and like just the horrible life and death struggle of it.
Yeah.
And he's also written several albums about just working your ass off living in the Minnesota countryside. And in his music, he goes everywhere from black metal and kind of folky black metal into straight country folk. And he does it like Merle Haggard kind of well, like really down there gritty sound.
Yeah.
And I love him. And he has a 2-part album called The Scars of Man, and it's the scars of man on the once nameless wilderness is the longer term for that. And that was part of his Minnesota experience moving back up there. And being from Wisconsin, I guess that like resonates with me a lot. And that one is great. The first album is all black metal and it's just crushing heavy shit. And the next album is all folk. It's just folk music. And it's weird and it works really well together.
Yeah. That's funny.
What else? Amyl and the Sniffers. I've been listening to like crazy.
Nice. Amyl and the Sniffers. I like that name. Is that another?
They're a fun band.
Hardcore
they're
punk or something?
They're an Australian. I would almost say pop punk band. Not really pop punk,
wait.
Something punk.
I believe that they opened for King Gizzard when I saw them. Is
They
it
did.
Is it a female lead
see
singer?
that show, but yeah.
They fucking rock. They're
so
fucking
fun,
great.
And I mean, I can't get enough of listening to them. They're just
I need to listen to them.
I
Their
can
actual
throw
music
on
more.
and
Yeah. I just remember the show and how good it was. But
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
A good band.
Nice.
And then MDC. MDC is, for your information, it's either Millions of Dead Cops, Multi-Death Corporations, Mismanaged Disease Catastrophe recently is what they're playing as.
Nice. They just
it's
changed
been
it.
just about everything at some point in time that has MDC
Nice.
as their terms.
That's funny.
And I love them. Whatever album you want to pick, you can't go wrong. But they have one from 2017 called Mein Trumpf that is great.
Nice.
And they are constantly producing political, amazing, fast hardcore punk.
Okay.
That's pretty easy to listen to.
Nice.
As long as you don't mind people around you hearing what the hell they're saying about how they hate cops and politicians and everything else.
Yeah, well,
And,
I think that'll resonate with some people right now.
Yeah. And then Appalachian Terror Unit's my other big one.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
And their album Greenwashing has been one of my big listens recently. They're like Southern crust punk band, and they're amazing, just absolutely amazing. Such good music.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, you guys had some fucking solid lists.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was a
what about
nice
you,
little
John? What are you jamming on these
Well,
days?
so ever since we listened to Marvin Gaye, I have been listening to a lot of Motown radio. So naturally, a lot of the stuff that attracts me is the Temptations, because those.
Oh yeah.
They're probably my favorite Motown group of all
Temptation,
time. Because again, I love that that collective community thing. And the Temptations
blending.
never, ever let themselves be somebody and the Temptations. They were always the Temptations. Despite all these other Motown groups being like Diana Ross and the Supremes, Like that, no, Temptations never fell for that. But then they just created some beautiful music with different voices, and it's just a wonderful thing.
Hell yeah.
It's just a wonderful thing. So nice. Motown Radio, that's my shout out this week. Give it a listen.
Yeah.
All those groups, all those early groups.
Yeah.
Just give it a listen. Motown.
Nice. As for me, I've been listening to a lot of the Moody Blues, actually. It's something I've never really dived into, but man, they got some great shit. So, listen to what was it? In Search of the Secret Chord. It's really, really great album. And then, just listen from then on. It's great stuff. Also, there is the Pick Apart the Passion podcast. We released episode 3 with Martel Chapman, and you can find that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, feel free to go on Apple Podcasts and rate us and give us a little blurb about what you thought. I think that matters. I've been told that matters. But yeah, we are on Apple Podcasts, and you can rate us.
We are on Apple Podcasts now?
So that Steve Jobs'
Right.
ghost can
it.
give us the approval that we desperately need.
We don't desperately need it, but it is on all the major networks. That's great.
Yes,
nice
yes,
work.
yes.
Nice work,
And he
Brad.
can't give you approval, but he can give you money.
That's true.
Yes,
Well,
and that's what we're looking
I don't
for.
really understand how the money comes into play here.
I
You're
don't know.
absolutely
I'm
right.
not sure how the money
Socialism
happens
for
with
all.
the podcasting. If you know how to get money in the podcasting, let me know. The other thing I want to mention during my little part here, I have joined a few survivor orgs on Discord. I am the first ever 17th place winner of the Manzandarin survival competition.
The man's
31st season, I believe. It was in Iran. Yeah, I went to Iran and I played some poker with some camels, and then these camels followed me to this other survivor thing I'm on, which is called Brovivor. And yeah, just a little shout out to the Survivor Org community. Thanks for the listens. Thanks for sharing memes. And keep on not voting for me at the tribal councils. All right. Yeah, that's it for me, guys. That's what I've been listening to, and that's the end of this segment.
This was a fun one, guys.
Hold on.
Madness!
Nope, that's not what I meant to play. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for being a part of the podcast today
thank
and breaking
you,
down
fellas.
Mastodon, Leviathan.
You're
Everyone.
great guests.
This has been Nate the Heretic and Reis the Blasphemer, and their
This has been a revival of
the Witching Hour and the end of the episode of the album Concept Hour. But yeah, seriously, thanks guys.
Yeah, it was great to
Thanks
be
for
here.
having us.
Yeah,
This
and
was a great time.
we will have you again for Voivod. What was that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Killing Technology. So.
Most likely, and maybe
Killing the
we'll switch that
technology.
album if Nate tells me we should. But,
Well,
you know.
I already have it clipped out, so we got to do it.
Too
sometime.
bad you can work harder.
No,
I'll do it
have to
alone.
give it a listen. I don't know if I've ever actually heard that album, so I'll have to give
It's
it
pretty
a
good.
listen.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good one. So I do think we should do it. So
Yeah, let's do it.
Voivod Killing Technology. It's
Killing Technology.
yeah. A little teaser for the next episode of The Witching Hour / the album Concept Hour. Thanks for listening. The Album Concept Hour is Brad LeBaron, Dave Gallagher, John Aker, and Scott Wesley. Special thanks to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for the theme music. Please like us on Facebook or friend us on Twitter or MySpace and let us know what concept album you would like to hear on the podcast. See you on Side B. This has been a Revolver Audio production. Executive producer Brad LeBaron. For more podcasts, visit soundcloud.com/revolveraudio, or to support new content, visit ko-fi.com/revolveraudio. Revolver.